Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, good.
Top of the morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, agents. How's everybody this morning?
Morning,
All right,
Warren.
yourself.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are going to be attending this meeting, it's actually going to be a very interesting meeting. You might think it's just going to be a contract class, but I'm going to be laying some stuff on you that hopefully will change things in your parameter in life. Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see me looking to the right. I got my window open, which I usually don't. It's nice to see the sun and the flowers and so forth. So I don't get to see that too often when I'm in a class. So forgive me if you keep seeing me look to the right a little bit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we want to get started here. And I just want to wait just another minute or two for my late agents that will be coming in because I don't want anybody to miss what I'm about to say. But in any event, you know what? Let's get started. You're here. Why should we wait? It's not an entitlement program, right? Why should we wait for those who can't be here on time? So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you the philosophy of real estate. And again, as I said, it's, hopefully, you know what? Let's do this. Robin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Very good. Arthur, are you there?
I'm here, Mr. Nelson.
All right, very good. Darlene, are you there?
I am here. Good morning.
Good morning. The only reason I ask if you're there is because I can see your names, but I can't see you. Now, it's probably because you might be working and you can't have the video on or whatever it is, but so I needed to make sure that you're there. And I'm not talking to myself. So for all of you, even though we're doing something that you probably already know, it's always good to do a refresher. So here's what I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, the philosophy of real estate. The philosophy of real estate. And the philosophy of real estate, ladies and gentlemen, is a gamble. It's a gamble. You're gambling. When you're working on commissions, it is live by the sword, die by the sword. All right. And let's do this. I'm going to mute everybody. This way here, there's no background noise and you can hear me better. If you have a question, just unmute yourself. Live by the sword and die by the sword. And because you're working on commissions and not a salary, then it is a gamble. Will I make money? Will I not make money? And when you sit in front of a slot machine at the casino, it's a gamble. Will you make money? Will you not make money? So you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that real estate is a gamble, but you are gambling with everything in life. If you invest in stocks and bonds, it's a gamble. You can make money, you can lose money. In Bitcoin, maybe you're gambling on football. Maybe you're gambling in life itself. But here's what I can tell you. Because you're here, you understand strategy. And when you gamble, ladies and gentlemen, those here in my class, you're not gambling by just blindly picking. You're putting together a strategy. And your strategy is hopefully going to pay off. If it doesn't pay off, the question is, do you quit? Do you quit? I watched this video and I saw how this person played the slot machine. When I went to the casino, I tried it. It didn't work for me. Therefore, I'm not going to do it anymore. You quit because it didn't work. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, as real estate agents, you have a green card in the casino. You go to the casino, you get your first card, the green card. And what you need to do is work your way up to the black card. How do you get to the black card, ladies and gentlemen? Is it by winning? Is it by losing? It's a combination of both. You have to put in the time and the money to get to that black card in the casino. Whether you're winning or losing, what you did dedicate was the time to develop a strategy to see if the strategy will work. But you can't tell if the strategy works one or two times. So when you have a client, you're sitting in front of a slot machine, and you need to understand that your client is no different than a slot machine. Will you make money on this client, on this slot machine, or will you lose money on this client, this slot machine? So you need to understand that it is a gamble, and your strategy is the only thing that's going to work for you. Now, you think, oh, I don't gamble and I don't have a strategy. But let me tell you something right now. Don't you have a real estate license? How did you get that real estate license? What happened? You took a gamble. You banked on yourself. For some reason or another, you decided to try this strategy, see if you could take a 75-hour class, pass an exam, and didn't you tell yourself while you were in my class that you suck at exams? You're not good at this, and you're not good at that. And didn't I tell you in my class not to think that way? Because I told you that's going to hold you back. My brother and my wife, they both gamble. I'm not a big gambler at the casinos. I do gamble, but not at the casinos. Now, when I'm there, they're playing this machine. They both play the machine. All aboard, all aboard. Some of you might know what the slot machine is. Some of you might not. But if I hear all aboard anymore in my sleep. But in any event, on one side of this circle of machines is my brother. And he constantly loses. And his attitude sucks. On the other side of this circle is my wife, who constantly wins, and her attitude is great. So I go back and forth to them. I got a beer in my hand, and I go back and forth, because that's all I'll do. I'll socialize when I'm there. And I'll see my brother get the jackpot. And then as he's playing the jackpot, you can see his demeanor. Yeah, I'm not going to win. It's not going to do this. It's not going to do that. And sure enough, he's right. He didn't. But then I can hear all aboard. I go around to my wife, and she goes, "Watch this, love. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to win." And sure enough, she does. And when she's winning, my brother will get up, come around, take a look at her winning thousands of dollars. And he goes back to his machine to lose. So you radiate, you manifest what happens in your life, whether you know it or not. You actually do. So when you were in my class getting a real estate license, I was encouraging you. I was telling you that you can do this. Even if you don't believe you can, I'm trying to tell you you can. And look at you now. You accomplished what you might not have accomplished if you didn't have somebody that encouraged you. Now, you have to understand this encouragement is also known as manipulation. You need to understand this. My encouragement is also a form of manipulation. And we understand when we get manipulated, somebody takes advantage of us. You manipulated me. You took me out of my money. You made me lose. That we understand. But we don't understand when somebody manipulates you for your own benefit. I want to thank you for your encouragement. You really helped me. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. But not once ever did you ever consider it manipulation. I manipulated you to believe in yourself. It's both ways, ladies and gentlemen. You can't have one without the other. So when you encourage someone or you discourage someone, it's a form of manipulation. And you need to understand this philosophy of real estate. So real estate is a gamble. The question is, what type of strategy do you have? Because you would not be sitting here right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you did not understand strategy. You would have quit. You wouldn't have been licensed. You wouldn't be here right now. If you did not apply some type of a strategy, your strategy was how to learn, how to memorize, how to pass this exam. You put together a strategy that would work for you to help you pass the exam. Here's what you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen. As I said to Denzel, you are a licensed real estate professional. Don't you ever forget this, ladies and gentlemen. Very few achieve this. But the license tells you that you can play the game. You can play the slot machines, like the green card that you got at the casino. So you got that green card, that real estate license, and you can have all these acclimates on the wall that says you've accomplished this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done that. But you're not playing the game. It tells you know how to play these slot machines, but you're not playing any of the slot machines. And there are those who like to have all these accomplishments and have all these acclimates, but never apply them to life. I don't know what that's all about, but to each their own. So when I talk to you, ladies and gentlemen, about a strategy, then you got to understand, use the slot machine analogy. Use my brother who manifests as losing, and he loses $300, $400, $500 every time he plays. Once in a great blue moon, the odds are against him, and he wins $1,200. Once in a great blue moon. But my wife, on the other hand, keeps me busy. Every time she gets $1,000, I make her cash out. Give me that. I'll take that ticket and put $20 in it. And so I hold her tickets because sometimes you don't know when to quit when you're winning. You don't know when to quit when you're losing. Again, why don't you know? Because it's not part of your strategy. So when you have clients that don't materialize, it was not the slot machine, it was the strategy that you put into that slot machine that did or didn't work. And if you try one time and it didn't work and you quit, well, you quit. I'll read reviews. I tried this product and it didn't work. What I heard was quit. I quit. And so that review, I understand that person quit. So when you're playing a slot machine and you play it one time and you didn't win and you don't play it no more, you quit. If you're gambling in football, do you have a strategy or do you just pick? I like their helmets. There's a strategy. All right. And so do you just play 1 week and not play next week and following week? Do you quit because you won or you lost? So real estate is the game of gambling. And live by the sword, die by the sword. But if you can understand that every client you have is a slot machine, and what you want to do is put a strategy into the slot machine or just throw your money away. If you understand this philosophy that I'm trying to teach you about real estate, that every client is a gamble. I see many real estate agents losing. Okay, that's part of the equation. You could not go from the green card to the black card without the losses. You understand that. You can't win every day at the casino. Doesn't work that way. So you got to have your losses. And because you lost so much money, that actually advanced you to the next card at the casino. And now you're saying, well, because I'm a loser? You didn't lose because you didn't quit. If you would have quit, then you were a loser. You lost. But you're still understanding that things don't magically happen. You understand that you do have a strategy. You believe in the strategy. You know it's going to work. It's just that you got to manipulate it. You got to figure out how to make it work. So when you watch a YouTube video and you see somebody talk about how they're winning on a slot machine, trust me, they didn't pull out that video day one when they were playing a slot machine. They're pulling out that video a year later after playing the slot machine. And they're telling you the strategy that they developed over a year's time. So you can't quit. Just like you didn't quit when you were in my class. You have a real estate license now. And if you don't understand what it took for you to get your real estate license and the gamble that you took, then you're forgetting the basics. So understand, ladies and gentlemen, that real estate's a gamble. Live by the sword, die by the sword. I got 2 deals that are supposed to close. They might not close. All right. Now, let's talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. because I thought, I got the jackpot. I got the jackpot. So I'm spinning the wheel and I'm looking for the big money, the big money, the big money. And it gives me $300. All right. All right. I already spent 2,000 just for the jackpot to get 300. Now, do I walk away and quit, or do I keep playing for the next jackpot? So these two clients, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. If these two clients don't go to the settlement table, what do you do as a real estate agent? Do you quit? Most real estate agents. You need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that you can still get them to the table. Here's what I said to them both. I said, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do it. But we'll figure it out. Because here's what you need in the real estate arena, ladies and gentlemen: time. Time. Everything in life is time. And so if it doesn't work out, what caused it not to work out? Now, I wish Denzel was here, because his client, they were getting ready to get an offer accepted. They went through everything. And then when Mark ran the credit, he found out that she's now 30 days behind on a car payment. Took her out of the loop. But is it over? Did you quit? Because this is what I said to Denzel. She made a mistake. Here's your job, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to me. Your job is to encourage them, to say, look, we made a mistake here. You got that 30-day late on your credit. Now we cannot get this mortgage for another year. A year sounds like a lifetime, doesn't it? But how fast does a year go by? Hell, we're already in September. How fast does a year go by, ladies and gentlemen? And so now what you need to do is your time. Encourage them. Make sure that they understand what they need to do so that we can get you there in a year from now. But if you don't encourage them, if you discourage them, then they're going to continue being late. They're not going to ever make money off of them. And your gambling system is not working. Your technique is not working. So you need to understand that if you're going to gamble, you're going to have to invest some time in it. Life is a gamble. Don't you have to invest time in it? Did it all work out? Are all days good days? No. Get your bad days and your good days, don't you? But don't we learn? Don't we look back and say, you know what? I could have handled that a little bit differently now that I'm older and more mature. With age comes wisdom. All right. Don't we always look back and realize that we might have been able to handle the situation a little bit differently? So I wanted to have this philosophy with you, first of all, so that you understand real estate. And you better understand that it's a gamble. And you better understand that when I'm encouraging you, as I do, look what can be accomplished. I think a lot of you are here right now because of the encouragement, maybe not mine, somebody else's encouragement, but that was manipulation. That was manipulation. And when you're successful as a real estate agent with me, it's because of the encouragement or the manipulation. And now what you need to understand is that you got to take this encouragement, this manipulation, and pass it on to your client. Use what already works and develop it. Don't quit just because you had 2, 3, 4 clients and it didn't happen. That's the way the game goes, ladies and gentlemen. It'd be great every time I put in $100 in the slot machine, I walk away with $1,000. But there's many a times where I'll put $100 and another $100 and another $100 and walk out with nothing. Do I never come back to the casino because of a bad day? Do I commit suicide because of a bad day? No. Naturally, we don't do these things. We're going to try it again. We're going to try it again and try it again. So understand that real estate is a gamble. Life is a gamble. And it doesn't always work out. It would be great if it did, but it doesn't. You need to incorporate this and understand that your losses are just as valuable as your wins. If you understand these things, that the losses are just as valuable. I would have never gotten a black card at the casino if I didn't have all those losses as well. That's just the way the game plays. So I wanted to have this little conversation with you, ladies and gentlemen, to understand the philosophy. Understand my brother who is constantly losing because of his attitude, because of what he manifests, what he projects. He projects that he's not going to win. That's going to help. You lose. And my wife manifests that she is going to win. She projects, when do you see this love? When do you see I'm going to hit the big one? I'm going to hit the big one. That's the thing that you need to understand. You cannot encourage somebody if you can't fake it, if you can't manifest the fact that we can help you. So we're going to talk about this now, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about a buyer and a seller. And these are your slot machines. What slot machine do I like to play? I like to play the first-time buyer slot machine. That's me. I like first-time buyers. But you might like to play the seller slot machine. You like sellers. All right. It doesn't matter. But you better understand that you better be dedicated to a system, and you got to understand that you got to have your losses as well as your wins. And you can't be disheartened when you walk out of a casino when you lose money. You will be, but you shouldn't. You should have understood that there was a risk that you could lose as well as win. But is it a loss? Now you improve your technique. And that's the way it's been for me over the years. Do you think I started out with first-time buyers and it was very successful? First-time buyers are the hardest buyers to work with. They're the hardest because, one, they have no management skills. Two, they're already behind the eight ball. They probably got bad credit. They probably have no money saved up. And these are the clients where I make my money from, the worst of the worst, because they're only bad right now because they're just starting out. They did not understand what I'm about to teach them on their credit, on their 30-day late, on their management style. Now I'm able to encourage people to be very successful. And what they want to do is not let you down. I don't want to let Warren down. I don't want to let them down. That's very important because now I manipulated them to help themselves by not wanting to let me down. You see? And so now you need to understand what slot machine you're playing. Are you playing the buyer? Are you playing the seller? And what type of seller? Do you want commercial? Do you want investors? Do you want residential? What type of buyer? Do you want move-up buyers? Do you want luxury buyers? Do you want first-time buyers? What slot machine do you want to play? And dedicate some time to that slot machine. Take your losses and your wins. Any questions or comments before we actually get into the contracts? Now, ladies and
So
gentlemen.
what you just was explaining just now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be like basically like knowing like your end game? Like say for instance you got a listing. Now you gotta know what what type of client is gonna buy this listing. Is that like what you're trying to explain?
It
Like
is.
I,
And
I remember
listen, ladies and gentlemen, Harold, who should have been here, is not here. Arthur is here. These are two individuals, ladies and gentlemen, that defied all the odds. They are successful. They are here where they are, even though they did not believe it would happen. Harold is now a licensed real estate agent. It took him years, probably 4 years, 3 or 4 years to get to this point. Arthur is a licensed real estate agent, and now he's in the system in a way he never thought he'd be in the system. And why? Because they both took a gamble. They figured, you know what do I got to lose? What do I got to lose? And maybe I can accomplish something that I didn't know I could accomplish. And so that right there is what I'm talking about. What you already achieved, where you are now. Now Arthur's working with a seller. And Arthur is now developing his techniques. He wants the answers, but the answers don't come. The answers develop. And the only way that Arthur is going to develop these techniques of working with the seller is by finding out what doesn't work. He's got to know what works and doesn't work. And he's got to see what doesn't work. He can't just have all good days. He can't have automatic wins. It doesn't work that way. So when Arthur's asking what works and what doesn't work, he didn't ask me what doesn't work. He didn't ask me that question. He asked me what works. What do I need to do? What's going to work? It doesn't work that way. I can tell you how to pass an exam. I can tell you how to pass the exam, but I can't make you pass that exam. And many of you failed that exam before you passed it, but you didn't quit. That's the point. You're now a licensed real estate professional in the state of Pennsylvania. And the same thing's going to happen with your clients. Can't quit. Now you know what didn't work. How come it didn't work? Why didn't it work? This is what you got to do. So if you're going to be strategizing, if you're going to be gambling on football, you're going to be gambling on stocks, you're going to be gambling in life, then you have to have the bad days. You got to figure out what's not working. If you cannot have those equations of what's not working, you can't be successful. You have to fail in order to succeed. It's just part of the equation. But understand this. Don't be all disheartened when it doesn't work. You now understand that there's supposed to be these things. Things aren't always great. Why didn't it work out? What did I do wrong? What do I need to do next time? And now what you're doing is you're developing a management style. This is the game right here, ladies and gentlemen. I told you the secret to success. The secret to success is management. All right? Management. And if you can manage your day, your life, your client, your strategy, then you're going to be successful. Really comes down to that. So Arthur, understand that I already helped you get your clients. How did I help you? By making you believe in yourself that you can do it. And you did. Arthur got on the phone. He made some cold calls. He got people to sign contracts that never even met Arthur. Arthur never met them. You don't think that's a freaking accomplishment? But don't you know that Arthur probably called 100 people before he got one? Arthur understands that you got to have the bad in order to have the good. Now that Arthur's finally got these clients, once again, he's got to develop the strategy. What's working, what's not working. Because it's easy to get depressed. It's easy to quit. But none of you are failures. None of you are quitters. You would not be here right now, ladies and gentlemen. You accomplished something that you probably never believed you would accomplish. You're doing something you probably never believed you're going to be doing. And you can tell me how it didn't work. I lost this client did this client did that. Understand, it was a bad day at the casino. Or was it? Why did we lose the client? What happened? What can we do? Arthur's got clients. Stacey's got clients. Robin's got clients. All right. Those are the ones right now that have clients. And will it work? Will it not work? How did they get the clients? What do they got to do? So Arthur's got sellers and we're not selling. Why aren't we selling their properties? That is the question. And Arthur's looking for answers, but he's not realizing that he's got to keep playing the slots. He got to keep trying. What Arthur's doing right now is trying to get another client, another client, another client. But he can't understand why the client he has, he's not making any money with them. All right? Because he has not told me what has not worked, what he's been doing that hasn't worked. What he wants to know is what will work. You get it? You got to figure out what is not working. What happened? And what do you do to manage it? To see his clients, they're not dead. Oh, she did this, he did that, they did that. Not dead. Not dead. Because the seer is running a business. And because she's running a business, it's like a slot machine, she's going to keep investing to turn them into a winning hand, a winning game. And so that is the game. Now, the SIA strategy is to figure out why. What did we do wrong? What's happening? And here's what you need to do. And the SIA's got to encourage them. I need you to do this for me. See what's the SIA? I need you to do this for me. You're doing it for yourself. But now they're going to say, I don't want to let the SIA down. I promised her I'll do this, and I promised her I'll do that. So the SIA is now learning this little technique of helping them help themselves in order for the SIA to win $3,000, $5,000, $12,000. Because that's what we get in this business, ladies and gentlemen. Roughly $5,000 and up. All right, is what you should be working for, minimum $5,000. All right, and so Stacia now realizes that it wasn't a good day. Her client didn't get approved, but what Stacia is going to do is tell her client exactly what happened, why they didn't get approved, what they need to do, and Stacia is going to use that little manipulation. I need you to do this for me. I need you to make sure that you're not late on your payments for the next 30 days or the next 6 months, because this is why. The lender wants to see 12 months of management skills. They want to see that you have no late payments. Now that Stacia is explaining to her client what they need to do, their clients now understand what they need to do. Now they got a strategy, because Stacia said, look, I need you to understand that the lender is not going to lend you any money. If they see 30 and 60-day lates on your credit, they're going to figure that you don't have the management skills. See, Stacia is using a little manipulation. They're going to say that you don't have the management skills to manage your finances, so they're not going to give you the loan. Do you have the management skills? Could you make your payments and not be late for the next year? Can you do it? Well, that's the game. So now what Stacia is doing is she's challenging her client to challenge themselves. But with the fact that they don't, if it was just for me, I could let myself down, but I don't want to let Stacia down. So Stacia and everybody that's listening to me is understanding a strategy of manipulation for the benefit of them as well as you. They're going to get a new house. They're going to get a better credit score because you manipulated them and challenged them. Can you do this? Can you go a whole year and not be late one time? Do you have that management skills? I ask them. I'll ask you. Can you do it? I could do it. Well, this is the game. If you can do it and show the lender that you have the management skills to do it, we can get you into that property. So I couldn't get you in today. We need a year, and I'll be there with you. Can you do it? Can you go 1 year, 12 months with no late payments, no 30, 60, 90-day lates? Can you do it? So now this is what you got to do, ladies and gentlemen. So you got to manipulate your client to better themselves through a level of understanding. So Stacia was teaching them why they couldn't get the loan today and how they can get the loan tomorrow if they do these things. And Stacia is challenging them as well. Now they don't want to let Stacia down. All right. So you take my boy Muhammad. Muhammad's go, go, go. What did he do? He stopped in, got a bund. Now he's back in the car. He's driving. The man is got the workaholic. He's got this discipline, but he's probably not happy with the money he's making. He wants more. He needs more. But because Muhammad has these skills, the hustle to do it, to get behind that fucking wheel and drive, that's the hardest part about being an independent contractor, getting behind the wheel. He was in the house. How easy would it have been to just sit on that sofa and not do anything? But what he did, he went in the house, took care of some business. Now he's back to work because he's an independent contractor. He's an independent contractor, he's a Lyft driver, Uber driver, and he's an independent contractor, he's a real estate agent. And so if you're not putting any effort into your work as a real estate agent, like Muhammad's doing as a Lyft driver, then you're not going to get any results. You're not coming to the casino. You're not playing the game. You cannot go from the green card to the black card because you're not playing. You're not participating. And that's the part of being an independent contractor, understanding the gamble and understanding the work you got to put into it. Was Muhammad going to have another lift? He might sit out there for an hour or two. He might sit at an airport for an hour or two and not have a freaking lift. That's part of the game, ladies and gentlemen. That's part of the equation. Or he can have one ride after another in this queue, waiting for the next pickup and the next pickup. So understand these things, ladies and gentlemen. This is the way it works. Questions or comments? No questions. No comments.
I was going to say, I think real estate, especially in the beginning, if you don't have a lot, if you don't know a lot of people, I just think it's a long game. You know, a lot of us come into it thinking, oh, it's so easy. And like you're saying, we just got to stick it out and keep, like you're always saying, let everybody know you're a real estate agent. You never know when that hit is going to come or when that person is going to show up and say, I talked to you this time and I want to move forward. So it's just a long game and we got to just keep at it. Obstacles like life will always come, but it's always results. And like Otto was asking, what is the end game? Your end game is always to sell or buy, find a buyer or a seller. So we just got to keep going at it every day. At least that's how I look at it. Not every day, like you're saying, is going to hit, but you just got to keep moving.
How can I help you? How can I help you? The magic words.
Yeah.
Every time you do a post, those words should be there. How can I help you? Because now what you're doing is you're giving a benefit. A lot of agents love to talk about themselves. I do this, I do this, I can do this, I can do that. But the magic words were, how can I help you? And Stacia was very, very successful. What did she do? She called people in her sphere of influence. She was motivated. She called them. She encouraged them, made them believe that they could have this. This could happen. And I'm the person that can make it happen for you. Trust me. Believe in me. And now, even if Stacia cannot get them to the table right now, the only thing you need is time, ladies and gentlemen. The max is 2 years. You hear me? The max is 2 years. That's the max. But if you do everything right, you know why it's 2 years? It's because they got the 90-day lates on their credit. 90-day lates is going to cost them 2 years. So what do you do? Do you quit? Do you say you're a loser? Or do you understand that it's part of your strategy because they already told you they wanted to buy? It just didn't happen today. And why didn't it happen today? Because of the 90-day late. So now Stacia is going to say, listen, love, I love you. This is still going to happen. You got to believe in me, but I need you to believe in you. Here's what happened. That 90-day late, the lender saw bad management. You're not a bad person. It's just that your management skill's not there. So here's your challenge. We need to see no late for the next year. Even though we need 2 years, keep it short. Let's see if they can do a year. All right. Especially if they need to do 2 years. So can you do for the next 12 months? No late. No late for the next 12 months. Giving you a little challenge. Don't let me down. Can you do it for me? So now Stacia is going to take every one of those clients that got rejected and understand how to play this slot machine. Understand that you got to spin so many rotations before you actually get a kickback. All right. Some kind of a kickback. It might not be the jackpot, but $20, $15, $5. These are called kickbacks. Okay. So a little bit. Now that's encouragement. So now Mark will run to see his client every 90 days and we can see if the client is doing it. And if the client's not doing it, do you say, oh, well, I asked you not to be late and look, you're still late? Or do you rub it in their face and use it as psychology? Say, see, you see, the lender would have been right, wouldn't they? You're still late on your payment. All right. And it's not a good pill to swallow. You know, sometimes the truth hurts. But at least you can now say to them, look, I'm trying to tell you, you can't hold down the job. You can't keep your payments on time. You simply have bad management skills. You're not a bad person. And if you're ever going to be successful, if you're ever going to get ahead, then you got to learn your management skills. So your job as a real estate agent is to understand your slot machine has so many pulls, so many rotations before it's going to hit. And now the C is going to teach them how to manage themselves. And sounds like a big job. But when the day comes when the C is getting that $7,000, $6,000, it all paid off. And now the C has got a pipeline. She might have a pipeline of 20 people who can't get approved for a mortgage right now. But she understands that they all want it. They all tried. And if the C encourages them, they will try again and they'll be more successful. And you know what's going to happen? When they are, they're going to thank Stacia. Stacia, thank you so much. I could not have done it without you. I don't know how you stuck with me. Anybody else would have quit. Even my family quit on me and said I couldn't do it, but not you, Stacia. You kept telling me I could do it. And I don't know why, but I did because I didn't want to let you down, Stacia. So thank you so much for making this happen. And now she's got these warm, coated feelings, but what she was doing is not just encouraging them, but manipulating them. See, I told you. Look, we went 90 days and you got another late. You can't manage yourself. You can't make your payments on time. You can't hold down a job. You got to be cruel to be kind. You got to be cruel to be kind. Stacey's a mother. She understands this. She understands you got to be cruel to be kind. You know, you got to discipline. You got to discipline your client. You got to let them know when they're doing right and when they're doing wrong. They need this. They need this guidance and encouragement and this discipline as well. So I wanted to spend some time with you on the philosophy of real estate and understand that this is a gamble. The only way that you're going to be successful in any kind of gamble is to have a strategy. All right. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second. Ian. Good. No, I'm in a meeting right now. Can I give you a call back as soon as my meeting's done? Is it important? Okay. I'll give you a heads up as soon as my meeting's over, but it'll probably be another hour or two before my meeting's over. All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao. All right. So a client, an investor. All right. And so, again, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is your game, your strategy. You have a strategy for everything that you do. Your strategy got you to this point. You're a licensed real estate professional. Don't you ever forget that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you ever forget it, that you are a licensed real estate professional. And now that you're here, now you have to incorporate strategies with each client. Stay focused. If you're going to work with sellers, then stay focused with sellers. We're going to go over those contracts. If you're going to work with buyers, then stay focused with buyers. Don't be jumping around trying to work with all of them. I want to work with investors. I want to work with buyers. I want to work with sellers. It's bad management. It's bad. You could be a jack of all trades and a master of one. You could be a light bulb. You could be a laser. So you need to understand that you got to apply a strategy into one. I stick with the first-time buyers. That's my slot machine, first-time buyers. I tried working with the move-up buyers. I tried working with the luxury buyers. It's not for everybody. I got 2 students right now, Nikaya and Shiza. And I already got them working at Rittenhouse Square. They didn't even get licensed yet, but I already encouraged them to build up their database as I teach you about your database. And don't you know they were sending me videos? They're sending me pictures. They spent the whole night at Rittenhouse Square going into this hotel, this and everything. And they just got this natural chemistry, natural pizzazz. You know, they got the gift of gab. That's the most important. You want to be in a luxury market? Then you better have the gift of gab. When I say any questions or comments and I get nothing, well, the luxury market's probably not for you because you need the gift of gab. All right. So I got 2 students that are building up a database and they didn't even pass their exam yet because it's my job to know your strengths and weaknesses. of what you're going to be good at, what you're not going to be good at. All right. And I say it's my job, and I say it because I care. I am always going to be there for you. I told you that no matter what my title is, I'm always going to be there for you. I'll take time out of my day to try to help you. And that's never going to quit. It's always going to be there. So understand, don't use an excuse that, well, Warren's not the broker of record anymore. Because I can tell you right now, the broker of record ain't going to be able to do what I'm doing. All right. I am the one that's going to make you understand how to be successful. You need to understand strategy. You need to understand management. Truly, that's it. And understand that you got to have the failures. You got to have the losses in order to have the wins. You got to have it in the equation. Do not get depressed. Do not get bummed out when the client doesn't materialize. What you need to understand is how to make them materialize. It could be 2 years. That could be the worst case scenario, but they will materialize if you educate and encourage them and teach them what they need to do. A credit repair company will never teach them what to do. They're just going to do disputes. And we now know that that ain't no good. But now that Cecilia told me what 30 days late, 60-day late, 90-day lates mean on my credit report, I just thought, hell, they're making extra money. I gave you a $35 late fee. You should be happy. But I did not know what it was doing to me and what the lender saw from me until Cecilia told me what a 30-day late on my credit report does and how I look to the lender. Now that I understand this, I'm going to do everything I can to make my payments on time and not be late. I'm going to do better management because Cecilia taught me what a 30, 60, 90-day late means. She didn't quit on me. You get it? You get it, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
I get it.
Yes.
You know, hey, I got a question though.
Good.
Hey, I missed the part when you was saying something about when you was like, don't be bouncing around. You want to do investors, you want to do buyers, and then you were saying you better have to get the gab. Like, what was you saying? I missed out on that part. Got
Well,
distracted.
you didn't miss out. You just didn't clearly understand it. What I was saying is you got to pick your market. You already did, Arthur. You now are going after sellers. And why? Because you had already had a background. You had already had a strategy. We talked about it. And your strategy was telemarketing. And you understood that you had to have so many no's to get to your yes. All right. So you understood the game. And so you jumped in to become very successful as a real estate agent because you focused on one thing. Even though I was trying to get you into the buyers, you kept saying to me, I want to go after the sellers. And because of that, I taught you how to go after the sellers. And now you just applied over and over again. Your pitch was a little rusty at first. You were a little shaky. You were nervous, but you didn't quit. And as you kept calling more and more and more, you polished it. You got to the point where you start understanding the questions that you're going to get. You can say what you're going to say without even thinking about it. And the reason that you're good at being in the sellers is because you stayed focused on one thing, those sellers. And you stayed focused on one thing, telemarketing. That is your niche. That is your strategy. That is what you stay on. But if you bounce from that to do something else, then you're jumping all over the place. So
In October, you will say.
Go ahead, Robin.
I didn't say anything.
Well, okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, Arthur is now successful with getting listings. But what Arthur's now realizing is he's got to sell. How do we sell these properties? The hard part was getting clients to work with Arthur. All right. And Arthur will tell you, people judge a book by its cover. People judge. So Arthur's strength is actually on the phone when they don't get to see him. Because if they see Arthur, they're going to judge. I told you discrimination is still today. You're going to be judged, ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not.
I'm
And so
starting to realize I get judged by my voice now.
that's exactly right.
I
And
start
when
talking, then it's
Arthur,
like, you text me, then I never hear from him again.
and again, it's a strategy. See, because you can't tell me what didn't work. We already know that didn't work. Arthur just said I text him and he never got back to me. That didn't work.
No. What I said was, I realized that they had judged me by my voice now, because once I get to talking, they had tell me like, all right, well, I'm busy right now. Can you text me? And then I do that, get no response. I call, get no response, and I don't ever hear from them again. No matter how many times I call, and I gotta look at it like, I don't know, maybe because I don't know, they probably think the way I talk, that's just how I am. I gotta get better with how I talk, use
And
better vocabulary. Even though I know I can, but everything moving at the fly, so I'm just trying to do it all at once. But anyway, once I get to talking to them, yeah, it
and,
changes the conversation. Like almost, they probably think that I'm trying to scam them, or I'm not a Asian or something, or they don't believe what I say can happen, or I don't know. I just don't know.
you do know because Arthur knows that his strength is probably better on the phone. Arthur needs two things: confidence and projection. Confidence and projection. And people can hear that. People can hear, I don't know. I don't know. That's not confidence. And so what Arthur does is he'll fake it. He'll act like he's done it 1,000 times before, even if he never did it before. And because he has that ability to fake it until he makes it, then he's able to project a certain level of confidence over the phone. That little bit of level of confidence that he was able to project is why they listed with him. And so he has to pat himself on the back, but he has to learn why they list with him. It was because of a level of confidence, maybe perseverance, maybe because he kept calling, but he wasn't afraid to do it. But something in that conversation showed they could see. I could see failure. I can see. You ever hear that expression? They can see, smile. A smile's contagious. A person can see a smile on the phone. It's true. The projection, remember, is telling you what you manifest. So when Arthur gets on the phone, he knows how to fake it till he makes it. He can project confidence when he's with a client. He's talking to me right now. He's telling me that he's weak in certain areas. But when he's on the phone, that's his strength. And he knows that's probably better if they don't see him because they're judging him by his voice. They're judging him by his confidence. They're judging him by his projection. Me and Arthur talked about it. That's one thing I want Arthur to do. He still talks a little light. And when you talk low, when you're talking like this and everything like that, and people can't hear you, it doesn't exuberate confidence. You need to raise your voice. You need to throw your voice like in DJ, like a podcaster, like an announcer, like a radio host. How do they make their money? I told you in my class. I tell you now that your voice, your mouth is your business. I told you a million times that your mouth, your voice is your business. Arthur just needs to be able to raise that voice a little louder, a little higher to project the confidence. And if he does that, ladies and gentlemen, even though he knows he's still going to get his no's, he's going to get a lot more yeses. He's just going to add to them. And what is he doing? He's improving his strategy. That's all he's doing. And the only way they can improve his strategy is by on the job training, just by doing it, just by doing it again and again and again until it is bred into his brain. But he's staying with one thing, he's staying with the sellers, what he's already successful at. Now, are there lots selling? It's a lot. Lots are the hardest thing in the world to sell. But what strategy did Arthur do? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me just show you something real quick, real quick, okay? Just to demonstrate for Arthur what he could be doing. And I better have it here. Yeah, I do. Okay, today. And look at this, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let me open this up. All right, here you go. Now, why do I have this? What happened here? Let me share my screen with you for Arthur, because this is what Arthur needs to be doing. All right, share my screen. Boom. And here it is. So let's open this up. Boom. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was looking at lots. I have a client and they were interested in maybe buying lots. And as I was going through the MLS, I saw lots that sold. And I figured to myself, who bought these lots when the lots that have sold? And one of the companies that was buying lots, especially in the Philadelphia area, was this company called Insight Property Advisors. And they are investor, developer, residential. They buy property and they build on the lots. And because I have a client that has 6 lots in Kensington and Lehigh, ladies and gentlemen, an area that is up and coming right now. And if you didn't understand, and so these individuals are those. And so now, if I was Arthur and I have some lots, which I do, I would be making a phone call because Arthur's already good on the phone and talking to one of these and asking them, hey, listen, got a lot. Would you be interested in it? Look, they build on lots in between properties. So Arthur's job is to get into the MLS, right? Find lots that have sold, and then find out who the buyers were. If it was an individual buyer, yeah, maybe you can get their information. Arthur has a little technique where he's able to track down information. Maybe that individual is an investor working under their name and not an LLC. But most of the time, you're going to see some type of LLC that bought that lot. And it happened to be Insight LLC. And so what I do, I just put it in Google search, see what popped up. And this company who bought a bunch of lots in Philadelphia is somebody who I'm going to be going after for my client who has 6 lots. And Arthur, do you get it, brother? You see what you're doing here? Get into Bright, go into the MLS, and find lots that have sold in the last 120 days. Sold. And find out who bought those lots. And see if you can track down those buyers and see if they're interested in buying your lots.
Hmm.
You
So
see?
now I gotta get back in touch with my clients and try to get the listings back because remember it expired on me.
Yes. Now you got to do your work all over again.
Yep.
Now you're doing your work twice. But if you were able to show your client, listen, I contacted this company, Insight, and I contacted this company because you found all these companies that were buying lots. And now you can show your client, listen, you got no pools yet. Nobody's happening, but I want you to see what I've been doing for you. I contacted this company. I contacted that company. Now it would have been easier for Arthur to get an extension because Arthur is getting a 90-day contract originally. And that's okay. That's okay. And maybe when you call Insight, and Insight said, listen, you got that lot for 100,000. The best I would have ever been able to do is probably 45, 50. Even though your client wants 100, now Arthur's got feedback. I spoke to a couple developers in Insight, and here's what they're telling me. 50,000 is what they would do. They would buy. They would purchase 50, but would you be willing to reduce a little bit? So now Arthur, through his due diligence, is getting feedback. Notice that it's rejection. But Arthur's like, give me a price if you were interested in this lot. What would you be able to pay that would be profitable for you? And even if they say a ridiculous number, 35,000, it's a ridiculous number. But at least Arthur has something to give to his client and say, look, I spoke to this investor, this developer, here's what they said, 30,000, 35,000. I got a lot. I just sold for 900,000. But don't you know I got offers of 200, 300,000 on it? I had to present all these offers to my client, and my client said it's ridiculous. Reject it. Okay. But at least they could see that I was doing something for them. I was working with developers. I was working with potential investors. And even though the offers were ridiculous, at least my client saw that I was making an effort to get the property sold. And we did. We got it sold for $900,000. But it didn't happen immediately. We had to have ridiculous offers. But each of those ridiculous offers taught me something with each developer. Each developer taught me something. You know, the setbacks, the steep slopes, everything. So I'm learning from each developer as I speak to them on things I didn't know. And that makes the game more interesting for me as well. So Arthur, relist, because again, all you got to do is get on the phone and say to them, listen, the market didn't materialize. Give me another shot. What do you got to lose? Give me another shot. I think I might be able to get it sold this time. Can I have a second chance? That's all you got to do. But for now on, Arthur, you don't want to do your work twice. From now on, you now know that you want to get an extension before it expires because Arthur's working with sellers. If you're working with buyers, you wouldn't know this. Arthur's working with the sellers. So now Arthur knows he's got 90 days and he better get that extended before the 90 days expires, or he's got to do the whole thing all over again. Would I do it? 1,000%. Because Arthur already convinced them once. Arthur can convince them again. What do they got to lose? Did they list with somebody else? I learned a lot. I got a lot of developers and investors that called me about your property. I just told them that I don't have your listing anymore. You want to try it again? That's it. That's it. And as Arthur makes these calls, which he will, he'll see some success. He'll also learn by his failures. And when they say, I'm not, listen, Arthur, you know, you were with me for 90 days. I didn't hear one freaking phone call from you. You never called me after that. Arthur's got to deal with this. Arthur's got to understand. He abandoned them because he didn't show up for work. And now they're upset. You come back and ask for the job again? What? To abandon me again? So Arthur's got to be prepped and ready for this. And Arthur's got to say, listen, give me a second chance. Give me a second chance. If you give me the second chance, you won't be disappointed. All right? Arthur understands second chances, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody understands second chances, Arthur does. And Arthur's going to make sure that they understand, give me a second chance. I won't abandon you this time because Arthur now has a game plan. He's going to get into the MLS. He's going to look at every lot that sold in the last 120 days, and he's going to look at the buyers and start looking at these buyers, especially if they're LLCs, and Arthur can track down numbers. And now he's building a database of potential buyers that buys lots. Now, Arthur might say, well, why didn't you tell me this in the very beginning? Because I told you that your strategy has to be developed. I could have easily given you the answers. I do it all the time. And then at the end of the meeting, you ask me the same goddamn question on what I spoke about in the damn meeting, which means you wasn't even listening to me any damn way. So you need to understand that your strategy develops. You can only hear certain words from it. You can't hear every word I'm saying. Your mind drifts. You didn't hear. See how Arthur said, I didn't hear, I didn't understand, you know, he drifted. But now he's real focused, isn't he? How focused are you right now, Arthur?
I heard every word now.
Now it's time. Now you're developing your strategy. So now you got everything going for you, my brother. You hear me? First of all, you're a licensed real estate professional. You're super proud of that. You understand second chances. Super proud of that. Now you understand how to get on the phone and get sellers. You have that skill. You already know this. And now you know how to get these properties sold, at least the potential of getting them sold. Because now you know where your potential buyers are and how to find those potential buyers. And even if they don't buy, even if they give you negative feedback, that is something that you can give to your client. Like they say in publicity, all publicity is good publicity, even bad is good. So even bad news is good news because at least your client sees that you're doing something for them and you're giving them some realization. And that realization, realize, all right, where their prices are. Listen, I told you that we could probably get 120,000 for it, but we're starting to get $60,000, $70,000 offers. You know, maybe do you listen? $70,000 in your bank account. Arthur says it's not 120, but it's 70,000 in your bank account. Would you be considering 70,000? So now what Arthur's doing is he's putting a benefit in their brain. I don't want to sell for 70,000, but I would love to see 70,000 in my bank account, wouldn't I? You see how he manipulated it? See how Stacia manipulated her client, not to let her down? And now how Arthur's manipulating his client? I know you don't want to sell for 70,000, but would you like to see 70,000 in your bank account? Could you use 70,000 right now? Or could you use this empty lot that you're paying taxes on? You see? It's only because of Arthur's trial and error. By calling them and talking to them, did he develop this? If he didn't call, if he didn't talk to them, none of this would have developed. He has to have the bad. He has to have the losses. And because he's telemarketing, he knows this. He understands this better than anybody because he's telemarketing. He knows he's got to have 20 no's before he gets one yes. And he doesn't let that bother him. He should not let it bother him when he gets a client. And he's got negative to give to him as well. All publicity is good publicity, even bad publicity. You hear me, brother?
Yeah, I agree.
I need you to get back on the phone and get all these properties relisted. I need you to get into the MOS and find your potential buyers. And understand now that you have a little bit better game plan. Now that you have all these developers, you got telephone numbers, you got names, you got faces maybe. Get on there. What if you speak to Jafar and Jafar says, I'm not interested? What happened to that? All right, let's go back here and stop sharing. Let's put that back. What if Jafar says, we're not interested? Then talk to his freaking partners. All right, talk to the next one. And you know what's going to happen? Jafar is going to say, didn't I tell you no? You're going to say, yes, you did. But I don't take no for an answer. I don't quit. Now Jafar is going to be a little bit impressed. What the hell happened there? I say, okay, there it is. All right, very good. So let's go back to sharing my screen here. Figure out what happened there. Okay. So now Arthur's going to do that. Arthur sees 4 people. All right. We got the founder. We got a co-founder. We got 2 realtors. Maybe the founder, the boss, can't see because he's blinded by being the boss. But maybe the 2 realtors could see and relate to Arthur better than the 2 big mobs. But Arthur didn't quit. He's got 4 different people to contact. If 2 say no, 3 say no, maybe 1 will say, listen, Arthur, there's a possibility I might actually have a client. It's a possibility because these 2 are doing the work. These 2 here are headstrong. You get it? Speak up. I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. My fault. I didn't say nothing. I didn't say that. I was listening to you. I didn't say nothing.
Okay, very, very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, strategy, management, all right? And look what happened. They bought these lots. Well, not this one here. They bought this lot and they built on it. 4,000 square foot lot. And they built on it. And you can see, follow them on Instagram, so forth. And that's another thing. Follow them on Instagram. Wouldn't Arthur be wise to post on their Instagram his lots as well? Wouldn't you be wise to follow somebody on their Instagram, their LinkedIn, their because I teach you how to market on social media, but follow on Instagram. Let's click onto this. All right. And do you have an Instagram account? Do you have TikTok? Do you have this? So look, I'm clicking onto this. Sold for rent. So see, Arthur sees this. All right. Now what Arthur can do is he can message them. All right. He can send a message to them and say, look, I got this lot. Would you be interested? And then can I follow you? Can I subscribe? All right. And so now if they say, yeah, listen, You can follow us, you can subscribe. Now he can just post on their site. All right, what they have. Let me see what we have here. Right. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to spend too much time on this. What you need to understand is my strategy, my management, the gamble. This is what you need to understand. If you start applying strategy, it's always going to be a gamble, but it's not so much a blind bet. It's always going to be a gamble. Life is a gamble. We don't know what today's going to bring. We don't know what tomorrow. We might get hit by a bus today, and there is no tomorrow. It's a gamble. And so you understand that it's a gamble. The gamble is what strategy. Which strategy do you put into your family? Which strategy do you put into your children? Which strategy do you put into your work? Which strategy do you apply? That's what you got to understand. You got to apply a strategy, and you got to understand you got the good and the bad. Maybe more bad than good. But don't let the bad outweigh the good. Incorporate the bad. Figure out what you did wrong, what did not work. And I guarantee you're all going to be successful. Everyone's going to be successful. 2 years is the max. Who the hell goes 2 years? If you know what you're doing. How do you think I have multiple settlements? Don't you know, I'm working on my next client and my next client. We're at the very beginning. Just starting to get their credit approved. At the very beginning, I got to do it again and again and again and again and again. Do I get the press about it? No. As soon as I walk away from the settlement table, I say, let me do it all over again with the next one and the next one. And that's exactly where I am. So I got 2 clients that might be getting pre-approved, but it took me 3 months to get them pre-approved. Now it's going to take me another 2 or 3 months to take them shopping and get them under contract before we get to the settlement table. That is the game. That is the game. But if you understand it, then the gamble will pay off. So, ladies and gentlemen, I spent more time on this philosophy than I wanted to, but I appreciate you asking me questions. And look what happened. Look what just happened. Arthur asked the question, and did we not get some insightful information because he opened up his mouth? But when I asked any questions or comments and nobody said anything, we could have passed right on by this. We could have missed all this that I just demonstrated. But Arthur opened his mouth. We get it?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome, my friend. Thank you for the question. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm going to do to prove my manipulation? I record these. I record these videos, and I'll send them out to you. Yes, I'll send them out. But when you see an hour or 2 or 3 or 4, you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send out this video and say, watch the first 15 minutes. Check out the first 15 minutes. And don't you know, almost everybody's going to watch the video for at least the first 15 minutes, which they wouldn't have done. They wouldn't even opened up the video if they saw 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. But if I say, check out the first 15 minutes, I'm going to prove it to you. Watch how many agents will actually click onto the video, watch this meeting, and now they can hear me say to them that I'm manipulating you. I told you to watch the first 15 minutes, and what are you into? You're into an hour and 10 minutes already of this video, or something like that. 9:30, it's 10, yeah, an hour and 10 minutes. You're now here only because I asked you to watch the first 15 minutes. If I didn't ask you to watch the first 15 minutes, you wouldn't be here at this hour and 10-minute time slot, knowing that I manipulated you to watch the video. You don't have to thank me. We ready to get into the contracts, ladies and gentlemen? All right. So let's get into the contracts now. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I send everybody emails. You all have to have the contracts. All right, check your email. You have 2 emails from me this morning. Probably send it at 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning, something like that. I sent you 2 emails. And they both say the same thing from Warren, ISS Realty LLC. But you got 2 of them. And when you open them, one will have your buyer contracts. The other will have your seller contracts in those 2 emails. So go to your email, ladies and gentlemen, open up the first one that I sent you, which is the buyer contracts. And hopefully some of you already knew that you had the email. If not, open up your email. And if you're watching this as a video, ladies and gentlemen, open up your email. All right. Today's Monday, September 9th. It's 10:45 a.m. at this point in time in the video, but at 7:30 this morning, 8 o'clock, somewhere in that area, I sent you 2 emails. All right. Let's give you the exact time so that you can look for them. All right. Come on. I got to log back in. Hold on one second. Log in. I was out too long, so I got to log back in here. All right. And I'll tell you exactly what time I sent the emails. And if you don't have them in your inbox, check your spam, check your junk. But you have them, unless I don't have your correct email.
You sent them at 7:51 and 7:53.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you very much. Saved me some time. 7:51, 7:53 a.m. I sent you 2 emails. If you don't have them in your inbox, check your spam, check your junk. But you have the contracts that we're going to be going over now so that you can open these contracts on your screen. And I'm going to show you how to fill them out on your screen as well. All right. Thank you, Robin. All right. So in that first email, 7:51 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, let's go to that. And what we're looking at is your buyer. Now, remember this, ladies and gentlemen, share the screen. And of course, my window's not the best window because I'm always busy and crowded. But here's the point. Forget about all this mess here and look at these 2. I got a buyer package, boop, 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 and I got a seller package. Boop, 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 boop. These are the 2 folders that you absolutely want on your desktop until I can clean up this mess that I have here. These 2. So if I open up my buyer package, I got stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. We're going to be over stage 1. So everything that I sent you that you're looking at right now would be in stage 1 of your buyer package. So you should have on your computer 2 folders, a buyer package and a seller package. And the forms that we're doing now should be stage 1 for your buyer. And when you get to the seller, it will be stage 1 for your seller as well. Notice that we have 2 stages for the seller, 3 stages for the buyer. So first things first, ladies and gentlemen, you should have 2 folders on your desktop. 1 folder says buyer package. 1 folder will say seller package. This way here, you know where to go for your forms. Should be right on your desktop. That's the easiest way instead of looking and searching for them. All right. And so we're going to go over the buyer package, stage 1. We're going to go over these forms that I sent you in that first email. All right. The first thing that I did for you, ladies and gentlemen, is you see this agent buyer process in the email. Open that up, ladies and gentlemen. And forgive me, it takes me a little while for my computer to open it up because it does. Even though it's state-of-the-art Apple, it still takes a little time. And probably should have had them all opened up, but kind of wing these things as we go along. All right, so you can still see the processing. It's opening. Open yours, ladies and gentlemen. So the first one that we're opening is that agent buyer process. All right, so if you have a problem like me where the computer takes a little time to open it up, then you want to start right now. Okay, very good. So blow this up. And let's see. Can everybody still see this? Can everybody see this? Yes? No? Yes?
Yes.
Very good. Ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen, this is the directions. This is how you handle your buyers. It's very, very easy. All right. Step by step. It's right here. I put it all together for you, which is what we're going to be doing. So we want to first qualify our customer. We got to get a pre-approval. And if they're first-time buyers, maybe a grant as well. We got to have these 2 in place. This is the very first thing that we're trying to do with our clients, the pre-approval and the grants. All right. How do we get this? We need proof of funds. Are they cash buyers? If they're cash buyers, show me the money. Show me the money. Because you can't make an offer for a cash buyer without showing proof of funds. Oh, trash day, so let me close my window. Trash company. Noise. It's trash day from here. All right. Now, if they're not cash buyers, then we need a pre-approval. All right. Pre-approval. All right. Buyer's agent must have a pre-approval and the itemized fee worksheet from the lender with monthly payments and cash from the borrowers. Okay. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over these forms. Notice that this itemized worksheet is not in stage 1. All right. So we'll get to it. That's stage 2. So customer to client. Remember, a customer is the consumer. The client is the principal. And once they become a client, we have a legal responsibility to the client. Okay. The consumer notice means they're still a customer. They're still a consumer. They're not our client yet. But once they sign this buyer agency agreement, remember this buyer agency agreement is our employment contract. An agency agreement, agency means employment. An agency agreement is an employment contract. We've been hired by the buyer to represent them. Now they become our client when we get them to sign this second form. They went from a customer to a client.
This meeting
Legal. Go ahead. Question, comment?
No, I was joining from my computer. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And the buyer's financial information, BFI. Probably not used to this form, but you will. Why do we need this? Because the agent who's representing the seller is going to ask you for it. They want to make sure that your client can afford the monthly payments and they have the money to bring to the table based on your estimated closing cost. Stage 2. We're working on stage 1 right now. Okay. So we'll get to stage 2 later. Not today, later. So stage 1. So these are the 3 forms that we need from our client to get started right now. They went from a consumer, customer, and the consumer notice explains agency. Agency is employment. And so we're allowed to offer buyer agent, seller agent, dual agent, designated agent. Those 4. And now the very first form that we have to give everybody is the consumer notice that explains what we're allowed to do under our real estate licensing. And these 4 services that we're allowed to offer, buyer, seller, dual, designated agency, is the employment that we're allowed to offer. It's real simple. Real simple. But consumer notice is the first thing that we have to do. Next thing is the buyer agency agreement. This now makes them a client. And understand, ladies and gentlemen, especially with the new rules in effect, you can't even set up properties in the MOS. We'll talk about that later. You can't even set up properties without your buyer agency. You can never, again, I've always taught you the right way. So my agent, no big surprise, and really nothing has changed. Not except for the co-op split in the MOS. That's the only thing that's changed. We don't see the co-op split in the MOS. That's really the only thing that's changed. But what has changed for the good is that no agent will be able to take a buyer out to see a property unless they have a buyer agency agreement. Before, it was competitive for us because they could go to other brokers and see properties without signing anything. Those brokers were lousy. They were sloppy. But now those brokers can't do it either. Those brokers cannot take a client out to see property without the buyer agency agreement. So now that everybody's going to be acclimated to the fact that no broker is going to take them out to see a property without the buyer agency agreement, now it makes it easier for us, the professionals who were doing it right, to get our client to sign. It was tougher before because they could work with shit real estate agents and take them out and see properties without signing anything. Can't do it anymore. Not legally. Not without some repercussions. Does everybody hear me? Does everybody understand what's happening here? Yes. So when I ask you for the buyer agency agreement, I'm no longer asking you to do something that other brokers don't do. Now everybody's got to follow this rule, ladies and gentlemen. Got it? So if you got a realtor.com lead, a Zillow lead, it doesn't matter who they call. no broker, no agent's going to take them out to see a property today without this contract. That's the way it should have been. That's the good thing. And so now, it all depends on your communication. Will they work with Cecilia? Will they work with Robin? Will they work with Darlene? Well, it depends on the conversation. Harold, nice to see you in the class, brother. All right. All right. Very, very good. Harold, are you there? Now, understand Harold works at the hospital just like Robin. So he might be listening, but probably can't turn on his. I just want to make sure you're there, Harold. You're there?
You hear me?
Okay. Yes, I hear you.
All right.
All right. Very, very good. So I understand Robin's probably at the hospital. Harold's at the hospital, both working right now and doing what you can do because you're running two companies. So I get it. All right. So now, the buyer agency agreement. That's it. They're not a client until we get this form signed. And then we need their BFI for the offer that we're going to take them. Now that we have these three forms and we have our pre-approval, now we're going to go shopping. But we're not going to get to this step until we have this. We got these three forms and we got a pre-approval. We don't take them out to see a single property, ready, willing, and able. They're not able yet until you know what they're able to buy. So why show them $500,000 properties when we don't even know if they're able to buy? So we need that pre-approval or cash proof of funds. Now we're going to take them out shopping. All right. So we're going to set up properties to see by searching Bright. By this point in time, everybody knows how to do it except for Darlene and Harold. All right. Because this is their first meeting. They're brand new agents. So I'm going to show them how to do it, but you know how to go into your Bright, your MOS. And maybe Darlene and Harold don't have their MOS set up yet, you know? Again, it's an investment. You're starting a new company. You might not have the resources that you need, so it's a slow process. I understand. Don't worry about it. But once we do have the MOS, it's a very good, valuable resource because now you got a client that's approved for $180,000. Not big, not great, but that's what we got. So now we got to find properties in that price range. And so we're going to go into the MOS and start looking. And the properties we do find for them, we're going to send them an email to see if they like any of them. And then those that they do like, they picked. Now we're going to go and show and close them. We're going to take them out and show them properties, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Darlene, Harold, you and I will be getting together one of these days in the next week or two, and I'm going to take you out the properties. I'm going to take you out and show you how we do this. I'm going to take you and show you 5, 6, 7 properties, just like I've done with all my agents, unless for some reason they didn't show up. And I'm going to show you how to use lock boxes, how to set them up, what to say, what to look for when we're out there at the property on the job training. So how do we close when we're out there? All right. What do you think? You want to make an offer on this one or you want to let this one go to someone else? Interrupt me anytime you want. Anytime you have a question, interrupt me. Okay. So what do you think? You want to make an offer on this one? Would you be willing to give up your apartment or your current situation for this property? Again, psychological triggers. Now we found a property that they like. They want to make an offer on it. All right, that was the game. That's why we were showing them properties. We don't want to say, what do you think? You want to go look at 5 more next week? You want to go look at 5 more tomorrow? We want to close. All right. Now that they want to make an offer on a property for your buyer client, we're going to need them to sign, initial, and date the following: seller's property disclosure and lead-based paint. That we get from the agent who's representing the seller. We'll contact the agent, or it might be in Bright, and now we can print it out. But these 2 forms before the agreement of sale has to be done. All right. Before. It's a proper way of doing it. Management. Then they're going to get their pamphlets. In these pamphlets, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be stage 2. I'll give you all the pamphlets, the mold inspection, the home inspection. By FHA standards and certain laws, you have to give them these pamphlets. And by having an email that you gave them these pamphlets, that's your proof that they have it. So we'll talk about that when we get to stage 2. Now, estimated buyer's closing cost. This again will be stage 2. All right. We're going over stage 1 today, but I'm reading to you how these stages work. Okay. So now the buyer needs to know how much in the monthly payments, how much money do I need in the bank at the settlement table before the agreement of sale. So the 2 things that I taught you in class, the 2 things that I'm teaching you on the job training is the seller's property disclosure by law, we have to have this, and the estimated closing cost, these 2 before the agreement of sale. So I just took my client out. My client really likes this property. I said, let me go back home, do the numbers, and then I'll give you a call. If you're comfortable with the numbers, then we'll write it up. So I call. I said, Darlene, it looks like your payments are going to be $1,200 a month on this property, and you're going to need $2,700 according to my numbers. And I might need less and might need more, but in any event, these are estimated numbers. Are you okay with that, Darlene? Now, Darlene might say $1,200 a month, Warren. I was really hoping to be like $1,000. Then I'm going to say, Darlene, then we're looking at $120,000, $150,000 property. Are you willing to take a shittier property? See, I got to do this. And Darlene goes, no, not really. I guess I can swing to $1,200. All right. All right. It's probably better. You know, you can either buy a cheap sofa or you could buy a leather recliner. Which one is probably going to be better? That cheap sofa is probably going to be in the trash in a couple of months, and then you got to buy another cheap sofa. Did you save any money? Or is it best to put out a little bit more now? This is the things that you always got to do. So now that I just said, Darlene, it looks like your monthly payments are going to be this. It's probably wise that we go with this, and you're going to need $2,300 at the table. Do you have this money in the bank? You should already know that they do, but ask anyway. And I said, fine. If you're comfortable, then Darlene, I'm going to write up the agreement of sale. Are you good? Now that Darlene, your client, says they're good because we gave them the numbers, now we can print out the seller's property disclosure on lead-based paint. Now we can do the agreement of sale. Now we can get the deposit, and now we can send all this to them in one DocuSign for them to sign everything at the same time. But before I sent up anything, I made sure that they were comfortable with the monthly payments and they were comfortable with the money they need at the table. That's the only reason I'm writing this up. If they were not comfortable, they didn't have it, I wouldn't be writing up the deal. All right. So, boom. Now, after I did the numbers, I will get the seller's property disclosure, the lead-based paint. I will get the agreement of sale. I'll put it together. I also will get a deposit, maybe now, maybe not, but at least my client knows they're going to need a deposit. Okay. Now that my client, let's make Darlene my client. Now that my client has signed everything that I DocuSigned to her, and I explained it to her, now I need to send it to the listing agent. See how it's all here for you to follow? So now I'm going to send the signed seller's property disclosure, lead-based paint disclosure that my client Darlene signed. All right. It's signed, initialed, and it's dated. I'm going to send the BFI that Darlene filled out, signed, dated. All right. We'll talk about that BFI when we get to it in a second. I'm also going to send the offer, the agreement of sale that Darlene signed, initialed, and dated. I'm going to send a copy of her pre-approval or her proof of funds if it's a cash deal. And I'm going to make Darlene's just going to write a check, and she's just going to take a picture of that check. If we make settlement in less than 30 days, it has to be a certified check. But if we're going to make settlement in 60, 90 days, a personal check. Let me repeat that. Darlene wants to settle. So today is September 9th, and she wants to settle before August 9th. That's on our contract. She wants to settle in 30 days. Then I'm going to need a certified check. All right. Certified. Because 30 days or less. But if Darlene says, yeah, I'll settle in 60 days, 90 days, then a personal check. And we'll talk about it when we get to the agreement of sale. Okay. And then a copy of the lender's itemized fee. Notice this. All right. We're going to talk about, do we send the agent our estimated closing cost, or do we send them the lenders? I'm going to recommend that you use the lenders. All right. several reasons, but for right now, notice what I have here. Follow the directions exactly as I written. Now we sent our offer to the other agent and our offer is accepted. It's going to be rejected or accepted. Now that the offer's been accepted, the clock is ticking. Time is of the essence. And now here's what we need to do now that the offer's been accepted. All right. The client received a copy of everything that they signed, initialed, and dated by the seller. Now that it's been accepted by the seller, now that we have the seller's signature and date on it, now our client gets a copy of it because it's been accepted. Okay. Broker receives a CC on all emails from beginning to end of communication with your buyers, sellers, mortgage lenders, home inspectors, title company, conveyancer. A lot of my agents are not doing this, ladies and gentlemen. You're communicating with your client, but I don't get to see it until there's a problem. And then you contact me. Even though I could have hedged that problem had you been CCing me on the emails. All right. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, these are not your clients, my clients. All right. Brokers' clients. You represent the broker. The broker represents the clients. So when you're not CCing me on these communications, then I'll get a call. Like I got a call with one of Arthur's clients, but I didn't know anything about it. Or I got a call from one of the other agent's clients and I didn't know anything about it. So understand here, ladies and gentlemen, Mark does it. Mark sends me everything that you get. And that's what you're supposed to be doing as well. So I can hedge off problems if I can see it. All right. So whatever emails you have with the buyer, the seller, seller's agent, since we're representing buyers here, your client, the agent, especially this one, ladies and gentlemen, because the agent will try to be taking advantage of you. You don't know how many times agents try to take advantage of Stacia. And Stacia put them in their place. Stacia handled the situation because we were able to hedge that off. We could see that the agent was trying to take advantage of her. And it didn't happen. All right. Stacia knows how to handle her business. So mortgage lender to home inspection, all this. Make sure every email I'm CC'd on. And when I say me, I mean me. I don't mean Tal, the broker record. I mean me. I am the associate broker, but I'm the person that's going to hedge you. I'm the person that's helping you. All right. Tal's not going to be here. Tal's got the management end. I will still be here, even though my title changed. I'm still the person large and in charge. Okay. All right. So I'll be here. Everything gets sent to me. All right. Until I'm no longer with the company. Nothing lasts forever. But for right now, I'm the one that's going to help you. Once the offer is accepted by the seller, buyer now receives and must complete the following. Now we're going to need a deposit. It might be a certified check, as we just talked about, not a personal check. Now we need to drop that check off, ladies and gentlemen. In the contract, it says we got 5 days for the seller's agent to get this check. We need to make sure that we're not out of contract. Don't wait for that deposit check. You should be getting it. If you're smart, you did your home inspection and we're getting that deposit check within that 5-day period, if we're lucky. Must be in the possession of the listing agent. You got to drop it off. You got to make sure that they know you gave them that deposit check within this 5-day period, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very important. Here's what a lot of agents screw up. All right. Lender receives a copy of the signed agreement of sale. So let's say Mark's the lender. Once that agreement of sale has been accepted by the seller, not only does a copy go to your client, the buyer, but the lender now gets a copy. Mark, we're under contract. All right. Now, home inspection and your termite. It's got to be ordered by the buyer within that contract period, 7 to 14 days. You might have had 14 days and the agent changed it to 7. All right. It's negotiation. So now you got to get that buyer to have a home inspector and a termite inspector, both the same company, hopefully, out there in this time frame. And then you got to get that home inspection report over to the other agent in this time frame. Time is of the essence. All right. And it's your job. Notice that it's bold. What does it mean when it's bold? It's screaming at you. All right. Title must be ordered by the agent 7 days. Depends on the lender. I just call Mark. All right. and Mark will handle that end. Mark, order a title report. I need a receipt saying that the title report was ordered. It won't be in for another 2 or 3 weeks, but we just need a receipt saying that we ordered it within the contract 7 days. All right. And Mark's real good at that. Buyer agent must inquire to the seller's agent the status of those UNOs or COs. It is the seller's job to provide us with these municipal certification. And we got it 15 days and 30 days, 2 times in the agreement of sale for these municipal certification. Now that this is done, now we got the home inspection. Now we get this report. Now this is where we have to usually negotiate. Of course, I got this down to a science. I'll put together the addendum for you, and we're going to ask for everything. We're going to ask for it all right? And even see at it, well, this is for informational purposes only. But didn't we get them to do some freaking repairs? All right. Yes, yes, we did. All right. And so it doesn't matter what the other agent's game is. Doesn't matter. All right. If you had a home inspection, you allowed a home inspection, we'll pretend that it's for informational purposes only. Now, with the information we have, here's what we're asking you for. All right. So don't give our hand away. Pretend that we're just going along. Okay. After buyer orders the inspection and gives your date and time, agent needs to go in the Bright and schedule a home inspection. See what happened here? So our client is now ordering a home inspection. We got an email from the home inspector saying that they're going to be out there on Thursday, this week, Thursday at 12 o'clock. We now have to go into Bright, just like we did when we scheduled a showing. Now we go in the Bright to schedule the home inspection. I'll show you how to do that later. But now, because we need the lockbox combination, how does the home inspector get in there? And as per our contract, we need to do this. Everything is step by step right here, ladies and gentlemen. So now we're going to go back in the Bright and say our home inspector is going to be there Thursday at 12 o'clock. And we need to get that approved. Sometimes the agent's going to be a dick about it, ladies and gentlemen. And I mean a dick about it. And here's what I mean, because it already happened to me. We have a home inspection. Now listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. We have a home inspection for Thursday at 12 o'clock, but the agent calls me and says they can't do Thursday. Can we do Saturday? But the agent changed my 14 days to 7 days. All right. So the agent's playing some bullshit games. Now, will we be out of contract on Saturday? You're damn straight we would be. And that's why I needed to see the contract. That's why I needed to see this email. Because now I know what games this agent's playing with you. Why? You knew we had a home inspection. You changed the contract to 7, from 14 to 7. And now you're not letting us out there within a time frame. You want us to come out Saturday, which is 2 days past our deadline date. And now you're going to tell us that you're not doing any repairs. You see the game that the agent's playing? I need to see your contracts. I need to know what's happening between you and the other agent, ladies and gentlemen, because this agent's being a dick. And then I'm going to get on the phone as the broker of record or the broker and let them know. You want to play bullshit games? Play it with me. I need an addendum extending this, so I'll get everything in writing for you. So don't worry about it. But that's the game. All right. So title must be ordered. I'm sorry, right here. So agent must accompany clients with the home inspection. Now, I would prefer that you do this, ladies and gentlemen. I know sometimes you can't, myself included. You don't have to be at the home inspection. Your client could be there. I recommend your client be there. And then you get the home inspection report. Don't get in the habit. Don't get in the habit of not being at your home inspection. At least go to the home inspection and spend 15, 20 minutes there and say, listen, here's what's going to happen. At least show up for 10 or 15 minutes And then you can leave. Say, listen, I got some other appointments. The home inspector's going to finish the inspection. They're going to get the report. It'll probably be today or tomorrow. Once I get the report, I'll contact you. We'll go over it and let me know if you picked out anything while you were here with the home inspector. So if you can't be there for the hour or 2 hours for the home inspection, then at least show up for 10 or 15 minutes. At least make that effort for your client. Okay? Yes, I ask. All right. Agent must be there to client and inspector to let they in and take some notes necessary. So if this is your first 2 or 3 deals, you should be there. You should follow that home inspector around and take all your notes from this home inspector on your first 2 or 3 deals and learn what the inspector is looking. Learn what the inspector is teaching you, because this is going to improve your game. This is going to improve your strategy. So now that you work with this home inspector, now when you take clients out to see properties, you will have more understanding of the property. When you take clients out to see the next one and the next one and the next one, you'll start being able to hedge things off. You can start saying, look, I can tell you right now, the home inspector is probably going to call for this. Home inspector is probably going to call for that. We'll deal with it. But just in case, I just want you to know. So now, because you spent some time with the home inspector on your first 2 or 3 deals, now you have this knowledge that you can now give to each and every buyer when you take them out to see properties. So your first 3 deals, you should be at the home inspections and learn what you can. All right. Agents or inspectors will be responsible for making sure that the property lights are all turned off, the property's locked up. It's usually the inspector's job, ladies and gentlemen. Agents now need to get addendums and the home inspection reports to the seller's agent within the time frame of stage 1 of your home inspection. This will be the agreement of sale. It's not today's lesson. We'll go over those contracts in stage 2. Okay, one thing at a time, and that'll be stage 2. Now, after the home inspection has been negotiated and we come to some satisfactory terms, now we'll order the appraisal. We will not order the appraisal until we get past this home inspection first. All right. Check for any additional deposits that might be required. Check with the lender for the appraisal results after we order the appraisal. What happens if we get a low appraisal? So in this situation, Darlene's paying $180,000 for the property. We went out and found a property, but it only appraises for $175, not $180. What do we do? How do we handle this? It's a good thing for Darlene, but it's a bad thing for you, the agent, because you got to negotiate. I'll teach you that. Don't worry about it. Worry about it, but don't worry about it. So we'll talk about what happens. It's either going to come in at value, or it's going to come in low. One of the two. All right. And now we got to get this appraisal cleared. Now that all this is done, ladies and gentlemen, now settlement. This is where we make our money. This is where this slot machine finally pays off for us. Okay. So we need a mortgage commitment, still part of the contract, within 7 to 10 days before settlement. We need those municipal certification that the other agent was supposed to give us. All right. We'll talk about it when we get to the contract. Now the buyer agent must contact the title company and schedule settlement. Obtain your settlement notice and your ALTA, which is not, I don't know why they call it an ALTA. It's supposed to be a HUD-1 or a CD, but they call it an ALTA. These are the numbers. And we want to make sure that our commission is correct. We want to make sure that the numbers are correct. Does the buyer need at the table what we basically said they would, more or less? And does the buyer have this money to bring to the table? So we need this closing disclosure, a CD, and for some reason or another, they call it an ALTA. ALTA stands for American Land Title Association. ALTA stands for the Extended Homeowners, the Extended Title Policy. That's what an ALTA is. It's an extended title policy. Why? Why did they call it a closing disclosure, an ALTA? Remember what I taught you, ladies and gentlemen, just like earnest money deposit. There is no such thing as earnest money deposit. Earnest money is language of the title company. ALTA is language of the title company. Deposit is language of the real estate. Closing disclosure is language of the real estate. So because their language and our language are blending together like earnest money deposit, then this is why we have a confusion. as to their language and our language. There's no such thing as earnest money deposit. We talked about it. There's earnest money and there's deposit, but there's no such thing as earnest money deposit. Doesn't exist. Just like salt and pepper. There's no pepper. We have salt, we have pepper, but we don't have pepper. We don't have earnest money deposit. We have earnest money, we have deposit. Okay. But what happened? Their language bridged over to our language. All right. Buyer agent, we got to do a final walkthrough, ladies and gentlemen. Have to do your final walkthrough. We got to get our meter readings. We got to grab the key in a lockbox. We got to make sure the property is in the same condition. Before we go to settlement, we got to do the final walkthrough. All right. Now we got to get the utilities turned on. Should have let your client know a couple of days before that they need their utilities turned on. But here's our time to get the pictures of these meter readings and grab the keys in the lockbox. Do not give it to your client. Bring it to the settlement table. And then congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, this slot machine is paid off. You can go cash in your ticket for $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000. I even give you some negotiating tactics in here as well. So this is your first form. The first form is giving you step by step. Does everybody understand that? So let's deal with the very first form, ladies and gentlemen, the consumer notice. And tell me, can everybody see the consumer notice on the screen?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. So this is the very first form that everybody has to sign, the consumer notice. Seller agent, buyer agent, dual agent, and designated agent. All right. You are automatically, ladies and gentlemen, second. You're automatically, you might not know it till you look at the contract, you're automatically a dual agent. Automatically in the state of Pennsylvania. Next week or the following week, you know what? It'll be next week. It'll be next Monday. Then we're going to have another contract class. I'm probably going to get back to the weekly thing, especially for my new agents. So next Monday for my new agents, we're going to go over the agreement of sale. And in the agreement of sale, we're going to learn that we're automatically a dual agent in the state of Pennsylvania. What we need to do now is decide if we're going to be designated as a buyer agent or a seller's agent. But in the state of Pennsylvania, you are automatically a dual agent until we establish that you're only representing the buyer or you're only representing the seller. You could represent them both. And the seller doesn't care about dual agent. The seller hired you to find a buyer for the property. The seller doesn't care about dual agent. However, the buyer might not be comfortable with the dual agent position. So we got to make it clear. But we'll talk about that next week. All right. So these four agency means employment. These are the four levels of employment we can offer. And it depends on how you handle this. So let me explain to you how I present the consumer notice, use my slot machine technique, and then incorporate it for your own. So Darlene, one of the first forms that we have to do, and we got a couple forms that we need to fill out, but the first one is called the consumer notice. And what this says, Darlene, is it tells you the services that I'm allowed to offer you in the state of Pennsylvania. And since you're going to be buying a property, Darlene, I'm going to be your buyer agent. I'm going to represent you, the buyer. And if you see a property that you like, Darlene, that has a Remax sign on it, a Century 21 sign on it, a Keller Williams sign on it, the seller is being represented by that brokerage. And I'm just going to represent you, the buyer. But Darlene, if you see a sign on that lawn that's ours, it's Realty, we're already representing the seller, but I'll be happy to represent you, the buyer, as well. That's known as dual agency, where I'm representing you, the buyer, and the seller. However, Darlene, if you're not comfortable with me representing the buyer and the seller, just let me know, and my broker will designate one agent to represent you, another agent to represent the seller. Any questions on that, Darlene? Notice that I say that because most of the time, as was demonstrated in today's class, you're going to get silence. No questions. Great. Darlene, I want you to also understand, see these bullet points that you see here? These are going to be my responsibility to you. You're the boss. I'm the employee. Love hearing that. All right. People love hearing that. All right. So I work for you. These are going to be the things that I will be responsible there. But I do want to bring your attention, Darlene, to this very last bullet point. This bullet point says that if for any reason, Darlene, you lose money with me, especially because of my wrongdoing, then you got a backup plan called the Real Estate Recovery Fund. All right. I can assure you, you're not going to lose any money with me, but I need you to understand that it's there. It's your backup plan. Should you not work with me and you work with another agent and you lose money, then you are able to get that money from the Real Estate Recovery Fund. But it's not the first place you're going to go to, Darlene. It's going to be the last place because you have to exhaust all your legal and equitable remedies to get your money back first. And after that, then you can go to the Real Estate Recovery Fund. So I'm not going to have you write a check to me personally and take it to the casino. We good with that? Any questions? But notice how I had to take a moment to explain the Real Estate Recovery Fund. Because I don't know, Darlene, she might be from the Real Estate Commission. So every client that you work with, even if you know them, you act like they might be an inspector from the Real Estate Commission. And you make a habit of explaining the Real Estate Recovery Fund when we do the consumer notice. Any questions about that, Darlene? Nope.
No.
Then notice what I'm doing here. Look at me. I'm using a little signal. I said, Darlene, here's what I need you to do. Print your name here, sign your name and today's date. All right. Notice I'm not asking Darlene. I'm directing Darlene. Very important to understand how to control this. Any questions, Darlene? No? Fine. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to print your name here, sign your name here, and today's date. What's today's date? The 9th, okay? See what I just did? Because if I get Darlene to sign the consumer notice, then my next form, the contract, is going to be easy to get Darlene to sign, okay? So this is my segue into my next contract. So now that Darlene has signed this, you, the real estate agent, have to date it, print your name, sign your name, and put your license number. Better know your license number. Now's not the time to be looking for your license number. Oh, what the hell's my license number? Better know it. Put your license number. That's the first form called the consumer notice. Any questions or comments, especially from my newest agents, ladies and gentlemen, about the consumer notice? Notice the way I explained it. Notice that I used the sign on the lawn as the picture I'm putting in their head when I explained it. Darlene, I'm going to be representing you, the buyer, going to negotiate for you. If you see a property that you like, it's got Century 21 Remax sign on it, that seller is represented by that broker. I'm just representing you, the buyer. Notice how I got her to see those signs in her head. But Darlene, if you see a property that has our sign on it, it's Realty, then we're representing the seller. I'll be happy to represent you, the buyer, as well. And this is known as dual agent, where I'm representing both you and the seller. For any reason, Darlene, you're not happy with that, let me know, and my broker will designate another agent to represent each side of the party. Darlene, also, these bullet points, it's my fiduciary responsibility to you. You're the boss. You're the employer. I'm the employee. I owe you all these responsibilities. And I also want you to understand the Real Estate Recovery Fund. It's there to back up your play so that you can be comfortable knowing that you should not lose any money in a transaction. Any questions or comments? How long, my second time around, how long did it take me to explain this? Less than a half a minute? Half a minute maybe? And if you say the same thing over and over and over again, each and every time, then you can have it down to a half a minute, just like I did. And then you can also direct Darlene, your client, to what to do. Darlene, no questions? Then here's what I need you to do. I need you to print your name, sign your name, and put today's date on it. If you get past this point, you're golden. Any questions or comments about this? First form.
No.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, yes,
I have one quick question.
absolutely.
Just for clarity, the dual agency is the brokerage that's representing the property, not necessarily the agent. So if
Nope.
Arthur has a property with its realty, and I have a buyer going to see that property, that is not dual agency, correct?
Yes, Robin, you are correct in this situation. In
Okay.
this situation, it is the broker who's dual agent, not the agent. Robin is
Okay.
correct. And then we'll make that clarification next week when we do the agreement of sale. But yes, Robin, you are correct. Arthur's
Okay.
representing the seller. Robin's representing the buyer. That's more designated agent. One,
Okay.
yes, and that's not dual agent. Very good, Robin. Very good.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So the broker's dual agent, but the agents are not. Excellent job. And
Question.
sorry, I almost cut you off there, and so I'm glad I let you finish it. Glad
I have a
you
question, Miss.
go ahead,
Sorry,
darling.
sorry, I'm cutting you off. I apologize.
Don't go ahead.
I have a question. 1 second, I wrote it down.
That's okay. Good.
You mentioned that we ordered a title. You mentioned ordering title, I should say. So with ordering title, do we order it for the client based on the title company that they had for the customer, based on the title company that they chosen?
Yes,
Okay.
if they don't have a title company, and then we will assist them. All right.
Okay.
But remember, it's actually our lender that is ordering the title. It's usually because I work with first-time buyers, it's usually easier that way. But let's do this. We're going to talk about it next week. I just want to share this with you right now. Can you see my agreement of sale? No, hold on 1 second. Share. And the agreement of sale, where is it? Standard agreement of sale. Now, here's what it says here in this. Hold on, right here. Boom. Title. Boom. All right. You know your contract, and it says within 7 days, if we don't put anything here, from the execution date, that is the day that the seller signs it. All right. Buyer will order from a reputable title company for delivery to the seller a comprehensive title report on the property. All right. So the buyer's got to do this within 7 days after the seller accepts the contract. We need to understand this. This is why you have your step-by-step direction. All right. Notice that this is in chapter 14. Notice that the agreement of sale is not chronological. So you need to understand what chapter 13 and 14 and 18 and 22 say, 22 chapters in the agreement of sale. Upon receipt, buyer will deliver a free copy of this title report to the seller. It's in the contract. So we representing the buyer have to order this title report within 7 days. It might not come in for 3 weeks. It didn't say that we have to have the title report within 7 days. It said that within 7 days from the execution, buyer will order the title report, not have it. It'll take 3 weeks for it to come in. But we need to put the order in. And this is why I said to Mark, I need a receipt showing that we put the order in for the title report. This way I have it for my record so we're not out of contract. We'll talk about this next week. I just wanted to show it to you now. Okay. We'll get into the agreement of sale next week.
Okay,
Now,
thank you.
you're very welcome. Now we're taking this customer and turning them into a client. And now we're going to be talking about money because we don't work for free. Remember what I told you in class, you need 3 things for a contract: date, signature, and consideration. And consideration, excuse me. What is consideration? $1. You got a property that sells for $1. All right. That $1 made it legal consideration. You know what? I'm gonna mess with that. I'm gonna mess with crystal. All right. Trying to accommodate my cat here, but I don't want that cat throwing everything away. Sorry about that. So, $1 consideration. So when we represent a buyer and a seller, we can't work for free. We got to start negotiating how much we're going to be getting compensated, especially now where there might not be any co-op compensation. It hasn't happened yet. I don't think it will. Well, what am I talking about? One of our agents just did it. All right. Our agent was representing the seller and offered no co-op split. All right. And closed the deal. And well, again, this is the world we're in now. So Let's talk about this business relationship agreement with the buyer to represent the buyer. Okay. Any questions or comments? All right, so let's do that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this here is the most important contract in your career. Most important, every single day, you're trying to find a buyer and a seller. If you don't have any customers, you don't have any clients, you have no business. Okay, I don't care what business you're in. If you don't have customers, you don't have clients, you don't have no business. So every single day, we're looking for a buyer or a seller. Every day. How can I help you? How can I help you? Now, here's what it looks like, ladies and gentlemen. And let me just make sure, share my screen, that we can see this here. And so this, ladies and gentlemen, is called, for the buyer, a buyer agency contract, as you can see here at the top, buyer agency contract. As of right now, these are our forms. This is what you need to know. So we're going to just stick with what we have for right now. All right. So now your broker's name, ISS Realty, company address. Also on this line right here, the second line, line 2, is the broker's license number, ladies and gentlemen. Just like it is over here, your license number. Notice it doesn't say anything. You need to understand the broker's name, the broker's license number, the licensees, the C is the agent, her name, and then her license number on the second line. Does everybody understand this? So it's Realty. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, your email should have the correct signature on it. So you can always see the license numbers in any email by just going to compose or send. Then you can see the license numbers. But if everything works out well, you're going to have a lot of the information here at the bottom as well. So we need the company address, the company phone, the company fax. You don't know it? Just look at the bottom right here. And we got the phone and we got the fax right on the first page. It's only on the first page. So we got the company name, the address, the phone, the fax. It's right here. Nobody ever sees that, but you as a cheat, you're doing it. So when you're filling it out, you can easily just go to the bottom and then fill out your information. Then your information, the direct phone number is the office number, and then your cell number. Also, maybe you have your own fax machine. If you do, put the number there. If not, use the company fax number, which is down here at the bottom. Okay. And then your email address. Very, very important. Your email address, not the company. Any questions or comments so far about the top part? Now, go ahead, Arthur. Okay.
I was saying, no, I don't have no questions.
Okay, very good. Now, our client's name. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Remember what I taught you. It got to match their ID. If they got a middle name, if they got a suffix at the end of the name, like Darlene. Darlene's a nickname, but it's not her legal name. All right. And so we need to make sure that the buyer's legal name is here on the contract. You should be able to get it from the pre-approval because the lender would have gotten everything. All right. Remember, oh, that's right. We didn't get the pre-approval yet. This is just the beginning. I was thinking of the agreement to sell. My apologies. So we need to make sure that we have the buyer's legal name. We need 2 forms of ID. We'll talk about that later. But getting these 2 forms of ID give us the buyer's legal name. Trust me on this one. One of my clients, Roberto last name. But when we got to the settlement table, his identification said Robert last name. And we could not close this deal. It took me like 2.5 months to get this deal closed after that because the name of the contract did not match the name on the ID. See? So you need to make sure that we don't just assume that we got the buyer's correct name. All right? Buyer's mailing address, their phone, their fax, and their email. These 2, phone and email and name. This is every lead that you ever do. So you better have their phone number. You better have their email on this. All right? Now comes the part where we're going to get paid. All right. This part was easy, general information. But now, starting on line 4, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, these numbers that you see here to the left, I call these itemized numbers, line itemized numbers, because what you see and our client sees is mumbo jumbo. All right. So when I'm explaining everything to my client, like I'm explaining to you right now, I'm going to tell you to look at the numbers. Line 14. Line 14. Does the buyer have a buyer agency contract with another broker? This, unless it's an investor, should be no. If you're working with an investor, it might be yes. They might be working with a bunch of other agents if you're working with an investor. But if you're working with a buyer, then it should be exclusive. You want to work with them. You don't want them working with other agents. All right. But if it's an investor and you say yes, then explain. Yes, it's an investor working with many other agents. Okay. Otherwise, the answer should always be no. 99% of the time, the answer should be no. They're only working with you. Now, this is an employment contract starting and ending. All right. We got to have a start date and an ending date with this contract. So notice line 22 and 23, starting date. So I'm working with Darlene starting today, September 9th, 2024. And my contract will end 3 months, September, October, November, December. I'll make it the end of December. December 22nd before Christmas. All right. That's my end date. I have to have the start date and the end date. Remember what I taught you in class. If you fail to put in an end date, it's going to cost you. You need the start date and an end date. So I'm working with Darlene. And I said, Darlene, listen, I'm going to need at least 3 months. We're going to have to look for properties. We got to do home inspection. We got to do the appraisal from beginning to end. I don't want to slip out of contract with you so I can represent you. So at minimum 3 months. Any problem with that? Should not be a problem. All right. If I wanted to do a year contract, as some brokers will make you do, then it might be a different story. Why does the broker want a year? Well, maybe not with the buyer, but with the seller. With the seller, you might want a year contract. All right. We'll talk about that later. Now that we have starting date and ending date, and again, Darlene's going to be our client. Now we got to talk about our fees. All right. And what this says is no association of realtors has set or recommended the broker fee. So only the broker and you work with the fees. The association, NAR, cannot set commissions. All right. Broker and the buyer have negotiated the fee that the broker will receive for performing the real estate services to the buyer. And that's what we're doing right now. All right. In the purchase transaction with a seller represented by a real estate broker, the fee of, notice I got 3%. All right. It's very important that we understand the new rules with this, because if we put less, we could get less. We can't get more. All right. So 3%, just stick with that for right now, of the sales price, and notice all capital letters. So it's not going to be or would have been here. We're working with and's here, and $1,000. So here it is. Darlene, I need you to understand how I get paid. And you need to understand, Darlene, that my wife won't let me work for free. Somehow or another, she insisted I put food on the table and pay the bill. So I apologize. I can't work for free. She won't let me do it. All right. But here's how I get paid, Darlene. I am going to try to get 3% from the listing agent for the sale of the property. All right. Hopefully I get it. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully I get it. But we got to talk about this, Darlene. 3% is what I'm trying to get. And hopefully I'm going to get that from the seller's agent who's doing a co-op split. I also am going to be getting $1,000 from you as well for my service. So I'm going to be getting 3%, and the $1,000. Now, Darlene, do a little role playing with me. So first thing I want you to do, Darlene, is say 3% and $1,000. Why would I pay you $1,000?
3% and $1,000? Why would I pay you $1,000?
Well, that's a good question. As I said, my wife won't let me work for free. But there's no guarantee that I'm going to get the 3%. I might need to be getting this 3% from you. So you're kind of worried about the $1,000. I'm more worried about the 3,000 because you're approved for $200,000. And that means 3% of that $200,000. What would that be? All right. So let's see, that'd be $6,000. I'm hoping to get that $6,000 from the agent. But if I don't get it from the agent, I might have to go after you, Darlene, for this $6,000. All right. $1,000 is on top. So this is my fee. This is what I do. And again, as I said, remember, Darlene, you ain't going to go to any broker without filling out this form. Nobody's going to work for free. So really, only thing that should be coming out of your pocket is the $1,000. Now, let me ask you a question, Darlene. If we see a property for $200,000 and I negotiate $195,000, I just saved you a $5,000. Did I earn my $1,000 by saving you $5,000?
Yes, you did earn it.
Now, what if we do a home inspection and I negotiate even better? We get repairs done, or maybe we can get the price lower for you. Did I earn my $1,000?
You did.
All right. And you do want my services because this $1,000 is a great investment that you're going to make. I'm going to get you a great deal. Okay. Now, see, I can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to ask for your money. You can't be afraid. Now, Darlene, I want you to role play with me again. Now, Darlene, say $1,000. My other agent wasn't charging me $1,000. Why the hell would I give you $1,000? Yeah,
$1,000. My other agent wasn't charging me $1,000. Why would I pay you $1,000?
Darlene, that's a good question. What did you get with the other agent? How's that new house? Why are you here with me now? What did you get for nothing? So you can see that your other agent wasn't charging you anything, but you didn't get anything. That's why you're here now. And if you want my services, Darlene, and you do, you want my services, then my services are $1,000. Darlene, do you want a cheap sofa or do you want a leather recliner? Do you want a sofa that you're going to be throwing out in a couple of months, or do you want something that's going to last you a lifetime? I'm going to be your agent. I'm going to be representing you. I'm going to be in your corner, but I don't come free. If you're telling me that you can't afford me, I get it. If you want my services and you do, this is my fee.
This was so good, Mr. Warren. I wish we can have this on a script.
It will be because we're recording it. It's recorded. So I'm going to be sending it to you so you can just speed ahead and get to this point. Okay. But notice, ladies and gentlemen, I told you that real estate is a gamble. I want to know right now if Darlene's my client or not. If Darlene says no way, don't worry about Darlene. I understand. Have a great day. I hope you find an agent that can represent you. I want to lose Darlene as a client now, but I want to establish the fact that I don't come cheap. You want my services and you do. Here's because I hope I don't have to go after Darlene for the 3%. We'll talk about that. But right now, Darlene knows that she's going to be giving me $1,000. Now, also, one more thing. Darlene, you're a first-time buyer. I'm about to get you a $10,000 grant to buy this first house. My $1,000, Darlene, doesn't come out of your pocket. It'll actually come out of that grant, that $10,000 grant that I'm getting you. Would that make it a little easier for you? Now that I'm getting you a $10,000 grant for your first house, and I'm getting $1,000 out of that, does that make it a little easier for you?
It does.
I know it does.
Would appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. And the reason that I'm able to get you that $10,000 grant is because you're hiring me. Hiring me, I'm the one that's going to make it happen. All right. Now, Darlene's okay with it. See what happened here? I gave you two different scenarios, actually three with the $10,000 grant. That was the third scenario. I gave you three different scenarios as to why you want me, why you don't want to go cheap, what you got for nothing, nothing for nothing. And I told you, you have to have some consideration. What if Darlene was my sister? Then I might make that $1. All right. I might make it $1. All right. $1 because Darlene's my sister. But I would not work for free. Can't do it because then I don't have a legal contract. And if my sister Darlene gets hurt on the property and we didn't have consideration, the broker could get it out of any liability. And now I did my sister an injustice by not charging her at least $1. But can't pay the bills with $1. I love you, sis. I do. But as I said, I'm getting you a $10,000 grant, sis. My fee's $1,000. Any questions or comments about this so far?
Can we charge more than $1,000? Depending
Yes,
on the
yes,
situation?
no. I would stick with the 1,000 because if you got an FHA deal, FHA might not allow you to have the 1,000. I might have to say, look, it's probably better if we only do 500. You're getting 3%. You're getting the 6,000. But because this is an FHA deal, so it does depend on the lender. And that's why I like working with Mark, because Mark will give me the 1,000. But some lenders who don't know you think that you're taking advantage of the client, which you're not. You're representing them. But the lenders come from a different point of view. And if it's not a lender that you're constantly working with, you got a brand new lender because your client came with a pre-approval, then you might need to explain to them right now, Darlene, my fee is $1,000. Your lender might say that I'm taking advantage of you, but I'm not. I don't work for free. This is my fee. So if the lender limits me, then that's fine because it's an FHA deal. All right. Now, you'll say it's fine now, but you'll be damn pissed off when we get to the settlement table and we get that alter, that CD, and you see that your fee's been taken out. Why has your fee been taken out? That's when you get me on the phone. And I'll be on the phone with the broker. What gives you the right? We got a contract with our client. We gave you this contract. We showed it to you. You knew about it. And even in our estimated closing cost that we gave you, we had our $1,000 fee in it. What gives you the right to waive it? Am I waiving your goddamn commission, lender? Is your commission being waived? What the hell are you touching mine for? So that's when you get me. I'll be on the phone. But if you do everything right, I can help you. I can support you. But if you don't do it right. So I wouldn't want to know right now, ladies and gentlemen, do my strengths and weaknesses. Because and here's the deal. Listen to me. Most real estate agents are leaving the game because they got to do this form now. For many, many years, they took buyers out to see properties and never had their client fill this out. They always took them out to see a property, but never had them sign a buyer agency agreement. They can't do that shit no more. And because these agents are so used to just taking clients out there, they don't know how to negotiate. They don't know how to ask for their money. And guess what? They're going to be in trouble because they're going to say, don't worry about it, Mr. Buyer. I'm not going to charge you anything. I'm just going to take the commission split. Well, guess what? You don't have a legal contract, do you? What you have is sub-agency, which is illegal in the state of Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen. Let me repeat it. When I showed you that consumer notice,
Please don't do that.
I showed you that consumer notice. Harold, you're in the background. All right, so let's do this. All right, so, okay.
No, when I do it,
Harold?
No, it's when you put the
All right,
laptop.
let's do it this way. Jesus Christ. So it tells you who's listening and who's not listening. All right. So All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the agent says because they never did this form all the years they've been in real estate, they never did this form before, but now they got to do it, and they don't know how to ask for their money. They're weak. They're afraid. They're scared to ask for their money. And so now they're going to say, look, I'll just take the commission split that the other agents offer and I won't charge you anything. Here's what you did. You did 3 things wrong. I told you in class, and now I'm telling you again. And you better hope and pray that Darlene's not from the real estate commission as my client. Because now what I'm doing is I'm practicing sub-agency. In that consumer notice, I showed you the 4 that we're allowed to offer in the state of Pennsylvania: buyer agent, seller agent, dual agent designated. Did you see sub-agency in the consumer notice? It's not there because it's illegal in the state of Pennsylvania. But when you do not charge your buyer and you're just going with a commission split, that is called sub-agency. And now the question is, am I representing Darlene, or am I also representing the seller for my compensation? So I'm supposed to be representing Darlene. But I just told Darlene that I'm not charging her anything because I'm weak as shit, all right? And I'm only going to take a commission split from the other agent. Acting like I'm doing Darlene a favor because I'm not charging her. One, I don't have consideration, do I? Since I don't have at least $1, I don't actually have a contract with Darlene because I didn't put anything in this line. I left it blank. 2, I'm practicing sub-agency. Am I representing Darlene, or am I representing the seller? Did I make Darlene sign a contract on a property maybe she didn't even want, just so I can get my 3% from the seller? Am I representing Darlene? See, now Darlene's starting to understand a little bit better as to why this $1,000 is there. Without it, am I actually representing Darlene, or am I representing the seller? So, 1, sub-agency. 2, no legal contract without the consideration. Now do you understand why this and $1,000 is there?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Very, very
What's the
good.
contract?
Very, very good. Listen, a lot of these agents who never did it before are going to be doing exactly that. They're going to be practicing sub-agency because they're too goddamn weak to ask for their money. What's the worst that Darlene could do? Say no. Don't let the door hit in the ass on the way out. Hopefully you can find an agent. It's not going to be me. And now I didn't waste any time with this client. I established in the beginning that Darlene cannot afford me. She's looking for a weaker agent. And I would tell her, I say, Darlene, what you need is a weaker agent. You don't need me. You need a weaker agent. Good luck with everything. Notice the manipulation. Notice the psychology. All right? You can't afford me, Darlene. It's not everybody can. I understand. Good luck with everything. All right? So this is your buyer agency agreement. You got to negotiate. This is only sub-agency. This is the buyer agency right here, the most important. Darlene asked, could we do more? Again, yes, sky's the limit, all right? Tal actually does 5,000, but we got to talk about it, all right? Because maybe the lender's not going to allow that. We have to talk about it. But now let's talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. What happens if the agent is not offering a commission? No commission. So when I call the agent and I say, what's the co-op split? He goes, no, seller's only giving 3% to me, nothing to you, the buyer agent. This is the new game in town. How am I going to get my 3%? Now, do I just work for $1,000 for Darlene? Nah, I'm not. I need the 3%. I need this $6,000 from Darlene. But Darlene's a first-time buyer. She's getting a $10,000 grant. You think I'm entitled to $7,000 of that $10,000 grant? No. I'll be lucky to get the 1,000. How do I get this $6,000? Let me take this off the screen for a second, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to you. All right. You know what? Stop sharing. I don't even know if you guys were even looking at it. Were you even looking at this buyer agency contract I was showing you, the 3% $1,000?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So why is it not telling me to stop sharing the screen? I don't understand that.
Well, I was seeing it on my computer. I can't see it on the phone. Service is acting up.
Yeah, and the phones kind of sucks with Zoom sometimes. Let me see something. Share.
It's no
Interesting.
longer on the screen.
Say that again.
It's no longer on the screen.
Okay, very, very good. So I wanted to talk to you about this. So now the contract's on. How do we get paid here, ladies and gentlemen? $6,000. And Darlene doesn't have it. And we found a property. Here's what we needed to understand. Right here, right now. This is the new system. One of the things I'm now going to incorporate is with Darlene, the buyer. Darlene, I'm getting 3% from the other agent. But what will happen, Darlene, if the other agent, I take you out to see a property and we like it, you want to make an offer, but the other agent isn't paying a co-op split. Can you pay me $6,000 as well as the $1,000, Darlene? And Darlene says, no. I said, Darlene, we got two choices here. One, we can't make an offer on this property, even though you like it. Since I can't get paid and you can't pay me the $6,000, then I think you should know now before we start looking at properties that this might be a possibility where we go see a property and there's no co-op split. One. Now I'll show you how to avoid that, but let's just have this conversation right now with the buyer. And okay, fine, I get it. So now my client knows that if there's no co-op split, she can't pay me. We can't do the deal. We talked about it before we even looked at properties. While we were at the table, you and I talked about this. Okay. We agreed because people don't always hear what they say. But, and we're still working on approval for this, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to me. I said, Darlene, we do have a payment arrangement where over the next 2 years, you can pay me my $6,000 in monthly installment, thereby giving us a residual income at an interest rate. And maybe, now understand, this would have to be outside the settlement. This would interfere with the ratios, the 28-36 ratio. So if the lender was to know that Darlene is also paying me, that would interfere with the mortgage. And so we got to make sure that everything's legal and not being misrepresented. And so, but we're trying to work out a payment arrangement with our client, but we haven't got approval on that yet. But wouldn't that be okay if we could get a payment arrangement every month we had money coming in from our clients, residual income? All right. So there would be two possibilities for our client. One, we don't even put an offer on the property if there's no co-op, or two, our client can make the payments for our buyer agency agreement. But here's how we're going to avoid it altogether. Here's how we're going to avoid it all together. All right. I'm going to take Darlene out to see 5 properties. Am I going to call the agent to see what the co-op split is on all of them? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take Darlene out to see the property. It's when Darlene wants to make an offer on the property, I'm going to present either my binder or my co-op agreement and say, boom, in this agreement of sale, not in the agreement of sale, but in the co-op letter, which we'll talk about next week, I get 3%. Now listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. All these years, I always felt that it was an antitrust violation of price fixing. When the agent automatically told you that you're getting 2.5%, 3%, and you didn't negotiate, they just told you what you're getting, I've always considered that price fixing. Why wouldn't you? So you're telling me, I don't know what you're getting. You might be getting 8%, but you're telling me I'm getting 2.5%. And agents never had a problem with this. I always did, because I always considered it price fixing. Well, guess what? The courts agreed with me that it is kind of price fixing. And now the MOS is not allowed to say what the co-op split's going to be anymore through this court case, which I knew somewhere along the line it would be coming down as an antitrust violation, and it is. So why can't we negotiate? I just negotiated with Darlene, my 3% and my $1,000. Now I got to negotiate with the other agent, my commission, and I'm negotiating 3% right off the bat. No longer am I taking 2.5. I'm asking for 3% as part of this deal. So now I'm starting at 3% minimum. You could probably ask for 4%. Depends on what you want to do, how you want to handle your situation. The very thing that you need to remember is my commission cannot come in front of my fiduciary responsibilities to Darlene, my client. I'm welcome to try to get as much as I can, but I can't. I can't get 4% because I got a buyer agency agreement that says 3%. And that's another thing about this new court case, ladies and gentlemen. You can't have more than what you negotiated. I negotiated 3% with Darlene and my $1,000. If the agent said, dude, we're giving 5% commission, should have asked. It's too late. I can't. How the hell could I ask before I had a buyer agency agreement? I had to have the buyer agency agreement first before I could find out. So now, ladies and gentlemen, what did we just find out? We just found out that the agent was actually offering 4%. Oh, we're offering 4%. You didn't know that? It doesn't matter that you're offering 4%. I'm not entitled to it. Do you hear what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen? Because of this court case, I negotiated 3%. Even though the co-op is offering 4%, I can't have it. I can't have the 4%. All I can have is the 3%. That's a ramification of this court case. Does everybody understand what I just said here?
Yeah,
Yes.
I understand.
Now, maybe if you understood, maybe you're saying, well, why not just put 5% here?
That
Right.
was my next question.
There you go. Why not just put 5%? And then if you get 4% or 3%, then okay, still good. Well, okay, I agree with that. But Robin, can you explain to Darlene 5% compared to 3%? And would Darlene be responsible for the 5%?
Can you have an agreement with your client to settle for 3%, even if the paper says 5%?
Well, maybe in this situation, what we would want to do is 3 to 5.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
See,
Gotcha.
and see here, my seasoned agents are now learning some of the new things about this contract, which is why I'm glad you came to my contract class. Because now maybe, but this could be a problem. This 3 to 5%. Under the new court ruling, this is saying that we're not negotiating. It's open. And an open is no good. So maybe we can't do the 3 to 5 because that was not established what our commission was. We didn't establish it. It's open. So we can't do 3 to 5. So now, how do we do this? If we put 5%, what kind of arrangement do we have with Darlene, our client, to say, look, I get 5%, but I'll be happy with 3%. Only reason that we're doing this is because we know if I put 3% and the agent's offering 4%, I can't have it. I can't have it. And I don't want to lose that. And I don't want to cause a liability either. So you guys got to understand this. You're only allowed to have what you negotiated with the buyer. If the seller's offering more, you can't have it. So how do we handle? Because we can't have an open contract like this. That's going to apply the new rules. We did not establish our commission with our client. It's open. That's not going to work. If I do 5%, how do I establish with Darlene that she's not technically going to be responsible for 5%, but She is. Because she's signing a contract. It's not
Did
what
you
we
put an
say.
addendum in there?
Well, the addendum would put it back to open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see? See? So the new court rules kind of put us into a quandary. All right. Here's what I would say. Figure it out. What are you working?
Could you put with your client 3% or whichever is higher in some way? This, if the offer is higher than 3%, then that would be what I would take. But if it's not, then my client is responsible for 3%.
Okay, so let's do that. So 3%, or, and let's just say that's $6,000. All right. Or in this way here, hold on 1 second here. Mark up no text box here, and I'll show you guys how to do this later. Boom, text box here. Hold on 1 second. Come on. Up, text box. Can I get it? Text box. Or $12,000. All right. And then let's do this. Let's change this to 7 so it matches. All right, let's go a little higher. Boom, okay, boom, down. And now 12,000. So what Robin just said is Robin wants to make sure that she can get that 4% if it's offered, but have the client paying 3%. So whichever is greater, that's what Robin just said. So my commission, Darlene, would be 3% of the sales price or $12,000, whichever is greater. So this is what Robin just asked. Could we do it? Yes. All right. 3% is on a $200,000 property, 6,000. And now what we're trying to do is get 5%. So the dollar amount is 5%, but the commission amount is 3%.
Okay.
Now, go ahead, Robin.
And you could base that amount based on the pre-approval that your client has, or you already had. We haven't gotten to pre-approval yet.
That's right. We haven't got a pre-approval yet. We're still just working with them. And so now, is Darlene signing up at 3% or is Darlene signing up at $12,000? She's signing up at $12,000. The 3% is really moot. So this is where we got to be really, really careful.
Is that also because that 3% could be interpreted as 3% of a higher value house?
Well, yes. See, now the reason that I can't do a dollar amount right now is just like Robin said, I don't got them pre-approved. I don't even know what they're pre-approved for. So what if they get pre-approved for $500,000? But I put in here 12 grand. I could have made $30,000, but I put 12,000. So at this point in time, we don't have them pre-approved. We don't know what they're pre-approved for. This is the beginning process. So this would not have been a problem before the court case. But now that this court case is in place. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. September 9th, this was all supposed to be finalized. You know what happened? The judge had to recuse herself. The judge had to recuse herself for a conflict of interest because apparently somebody on the trial or the jury was related to her, and she just found that out. So we don't know how this court case is going to actually work out right now. It shouldn't be much of a problem. They're just going to have to appoint another judge because this was a settlement, not a judge ruling. But the judge had to recuse herself, which is going to delay any of these legal things. So right now, what I'm teaching you was supposed to be in place. But because the judge had to recuse herself, it's going to be a little bit delayed. This was supposed to happen September 4th. We're at what, September 9th now? And so it's been delayed. But it's going to happen anyway. Because again, as I said, it's not a judge ruling. It is a settlement that was agreed between both parties. The judge just has to approve it. All right. But the judge recused herself because of a conflict of interest. So another judge will be appointed to approve the settlement. So it's coming down the pike anyway. So I need
So-
my agents to be
So
ready.
what exactly are we waiting for the judge to say? Because the removal of the co-op out of MLS is already in place, and the seller does not have to pay. The buyer's commission is already in place. So what exactly are we waiting for her to say, or the judge to say?
Now it's interesting because a lot of us think that we work for the MOS. Even the MOS makes us think that we work for them. The MOS just preempted the jury, the case. That's all the MOS did, was preempt what is going to happen. So they set a guideline based on when they believed the ruling was supposed to come out. So they got ahead of it because they believed the ruling was supposed to happen September 4th. They didn't know about the judge recusing himself. That didn't happen yet. So all they did was preempt what they suspected the judge was going to approve based on what was already agreed to in the settlement. But it's not law until the judge signs it. So that was supposed to happen. So the only thing that happened is the MOS preempted what they believe is going to be coming down the pike. That's all. And they know that you can no longer have the commission split. And since they had to change all them, they just did better management. The MOS is just ahead of the game. But that puts us now in the game, even though we don't have the ruling yet. It would come. And this is why I got you guys in the game. This is why I'm teaching you how to start negotiating your commission based on what's coming down. And now you know that whatever you negotiate, you can't have more. You can't have an open contract. How do you handle this? All right. Here's how I would handle it. Let's take this 5,000, this 1,000, and let's make it 5,000. All right. And then now, because this is your money, this we can't really negotiate. If the agent's offering more, we can't have it. But we can have more from our buyer. And I would say, Darlene, I get $5,000, but I'm not going to charge you $5,000. Hell, I might waive the whole thing. Because this is your prerogative. This is your money. But again, as I said, I see some problems with this. We could lose potential buyers afraid of the 5,000. We could have lenders telling us no way. And instead of having 500, we don't get nothing. So we got some scenarios that we still have to deal with. Here's what I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not get greedy. Let's not get greedy. All right. Let's understand what 3% and 1,000 is. If Darlene's approved for 200,000, this is $7,000. Is $7,000 in your bank account good with you for 30 to 90 days worth of work? And it comes out to about 10 hours, by the way. 10 hours, 90 days, but about 10 hours of direct work with the client. All right, don't be breaking out in vertigo now. Turn the light down. So don't be greedy. And start off as we develop our system, as we start realizing how things are working out, then we might want to change it. When you get really strong, maybe you would want to charge more. All right, because now you can negotiate more. But again, as I said, I would say right now, 3% and $1,000 when you're representing a buyer. And be happy with the money. You do 2 deals a month, $15,000 a month extra in your pocket. All right. But it's up to you. So I can tell you for right now, based on the court case, is we have to have a fee here, what I taught you in class. Otherwise, it's sub-agency, even $1, but I wouldn't do that. $1,000. And then we have to have this here. How many real estate agents are going to be offering you 4 and 5%? You've been in business already. Have
Probably
you
none.
ever gotten a 4% commission by anybody?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Hell, have you even gotten 3%? Most of you gotten 2.5%. All right. So
I'm sorry.
go ahead, Darlene.
I know it kind of sounds like there's an unspoken thing with the fee because it's not set, right? 3%, but yet it seems as if it is. Like as if it's a norm, or to me, I don't know, maybe I need more.
No, it's okay because you're
On it.
brand new. Notice I just asked the question to my experienced agents. I
Yeah.
asked them, have you ever gotten 4% in a co-op? The
Mhm.
answer was no, never. Have they even gotten 3? Maybe, maybe not. But for the most part, what was the unspoken rule, Darlene, was the 2.5%. That the
Okay.
agent was offering you 2.5% as the buyer agent. That was kind of the unspoken rule. And
Mhm.
I always thought that was price fixing. You know,
Right.
why can't I get more?
Mhm.
But most agents would just take the 2.5%. What a lot of agents didn't realize is my lender did 3.3 right on the HUD. And even though the agents were offering 2 or 2.5%, they never corrected it when we got to the table. And I ended up getting a 3% anyway because they never corrected it. They never said anything. All right. And so it's another thing we could talk about later. But for right now, now the unspoken rule, Darlene, would be 3%. We're
Okay.
already ahead of the game compared to the way it used to be.
Mhm.
All right. So now we're going to say we want 3%. So now we'll get to that next week. For right now, I'm representing Darlene and I'm telling her I get 3% by the co-op, by the seller's agent, and I get $1,000 from Darlene for right now. For most of you, this is hard enough because you're afraid to ask for your money until you get to a system. All right. What if I had 3 or 4 people reject me and say, I'm not paying you 1,000? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Would that break my bubble? Would that say, well, maybe I should just give it away for free? No, they couldn't afford me. I wanted to find out now rather than later. All right. That's my motto. So, again, as I said, after I explained to Darlene what I'm going to do, I'm getting her a $10,000 grant. I'm going to negotiate for her. But my wife, my boss, insists I put food on the table and pay bills. Darlene understands this logically. Who the hell works for free? This ain't charity. Questions or comments about this? The rest of this.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
My fault. I'm a little hoarse. But my question, like, say for instance, right, it's a listing that been sitting on the market for a
Go ahead.
little too long. Now you got a buyer. Like, would you be wrong, like, to feel like towards the person who got the listing that you might deserve more of a commission split than him? Because if it's probably been if his listing been sitting on the market for almost a year, and then you come along with a buyer, why shouldn't I get majority of the commission split? Even though
No,
you got the listing, but why shouldn't I get the majority of the commission split? Because you got the listing, and it's probably going to eventually expire anyways, just sitting there. But then you come along with a buyer.
well, let's take this. Now, your listings that you have, Arthur, did you do 6% on any of them, or did you do more than 6% on all of them?
More than 6%.
That's exactly right, because I taught you that. Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, I have a little vertigo problem. I found out that if I cover one eye and the other eye, somehow, some reason or another, my eyeballs aren't working together. It's probably looking at the screen too long. But now Arthur does his listings at 8, 10, 12%. All right. And what Arthur's saying is that the agent's asking for 3%, but did the agent know that Arthur is getting 8%? We don't know this. So if Robin makes a deal with Arthur Robin doesn't actually know what the commission is that Arthur's charging his client. Robin only knows what she's asking for. And Arthur, who's getting 8%, he doesn't care about giving 3%. He's still walking away with 5 himself. Because that's the part that we don't know. We don't know what the agent has negotiated. We only know what we're asking from that agent. So it would be nice. Arthur, what are you making on this deal? You making 8%? I want 4. It doesn't work that way. Arthur would be a fool to tell me between him and his client what he negotiated. All Arthur needs to tell me is what he's offering in the co-op split. I didn't know Arthur was making 8%. How would I? So all I can do as the buyer agent is ask for what I said I was going to ask for when I talked to the buyer. You get that, Arthur?
Yes.
Good.
See, I was more so like on the flip side. Like say you got the 8%, I got the buyer. I ask you how much you getting paid. You tell me 8%, and now I want 4%. Am I
But that
wrong?
would never happen, Arthur. It would be a contract violation of disclosure and confidentiality. If I was to
Okay.
disclose to you what I negotiated between me and my client, I violated my confidentiality and I violated disclosure. I should have never disclosed that without my client's permission. And it was a fool to do so because now you want more money from it. So you will never disclose what your commission is between you and your client. They'll find out when we get to the settlement table. When we get to the settlement table, they can find out, but not now when we're negotiating.
Okay.
Never reveal that information. Don't even ask for it.
Got you.
Well, maybe you could ask for it if you want to. If they're stupid enough to tell you, then it's up to them. You, my friend, will not be stupid enough to tell another agent what your commission is between you and your client. None of my agents will do that. You would never discuss what your commission is between you and your client with anybody else. That's like me asking you, what did your paycheck say? Did you get more money than I got in my paycheck? Would I ask you for that? Would you give it to me? Would you tell me?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. So, but now that you asked the question, now you have your answer. Now you understand. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, for right now, 3%, $1,000, be satisfied. Again, $7,000 on a $200,000 deal. And again, if you don't have 200,000 or better in your pre-approval, it's going to be tough. You know, taking a client out with $150,000 pre-approval, it's not much out there. Not much out there. You need 200,000 or better. 300,000 is great, right? But again, as I said, anything under 200,000, that's a tough deal, right? But it is what it is. All right, now that we got this figured out, ladies and gentlemen, because we're almost done, nothing else has to be worried about. We don't have to worry about these here. This is all going to be part of the contract. We'll talk about this next week, and we'll resort back to this. So all this talks about the agreement of sale. All right, we'll talk about that next week. All right, and so again, as it says, notice it talks about dual agency. All right, in this buyer agency, remember the consumer notice. So here's dual agency again, and we'll see it again in the agreement of sale. All right. And so all this is for the client's reading pleasure, the designated agency, conflict of interest. Now, this is important because if we're going to have a conflict of interest, it's going to be right here in employment. Notice that we were trying to get that 5%, not the 3%. Notice that we might have had a conflict of interest because we were trying to get more without saying we're getting more. We were trying to handle that. So if there's ever going to be a conflict of interest, it's going to be in your employment contract with you and the client. We don't want a conflict of interest, right? Now, broker services to the sellers, to the buyers of the contract, the entire contract, any change to the contract. Get to know your contract, ladies and gentlemen. Read this. All right. But we're not going to be explaining any of this to our clients. We're not going to be going over the civil rights. We understand that. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act, fair housing. We understand that, but we don't really need to be explaining it to our client. All right. The buyer needs to have a home inspection. They should have a home inspection. We'll cover that when we get to the agreement of sale. We talked about the recovery fund that we talked about in the consumer notice. So notice that the business relationship agreement really reiterates the consumer notice. And now, Darlene, here's how I'm going to do this. All right, you ready, ladies and gentlemen? So I just told you how to do this. Here's how I explain it. Remember how I explained the consumer notice to Darlene? Took me half a minute. And I said, Darlene, please print your name, sign your name, initial. Now, here's how I'll do this business relationship agreement. Darlene, the next form that we got to sign is the business relationship agreement, the one that allows me to represent you. Before I can even take you out to see any property, before I can negotiate, before I can even take you to the lender, get you approved, we have to establish this relationship. You're going to be the boss. I'm going to be the employee. I'm going to work for you. So the next form that you're going to have to sign, Darlene, is going to allow me to take you out to see properties. It's going to protect you. Should you get hurt on that property? Should you get hurt on my car? This will cover you. I will not let you go out there and see properties without this assurance. So I want to go over this contract with you that protects you and allows me to represent you. See what I just did there? Again, half a minute, right? Half a minute. So before I get into my money, I got to get into my little spiel. So Darlene's now signed the consumer notice. Now this is the form I need her to sign. And this is my opening, my segue. Darlene, the next form that you're about to sign is our business relationship agreement. This is the form that's going to allow me to take you out to see the properties. I can't take you out to see anything without this form. This is going to allow me to negotiate for you. This is going to protect you. Should you get hurt in my car? Should you get hurt on the property? The business insurance that the broker has will cover us. We didn't have this form. The business insurance would not cover you. So this is for your protection. Should anything happen to you, this allows me to represent you, to negotiate for you, allows me to set up the properties that we can go out and see. Are you ready? So there's my little segue into this form to represent them. Notice what I did. Benefit, benefit, benefit. I talked about the benefit of me representing them, me negotiating for them, me protecting them should they get hurt, and me taking them out to see properties. All these were benefits to Darlene by signing this next form. Any questions or comments about that little segue? Now, filling out the form is easy because all we're allowed to do is fill in the blanks. You know how to fill with this information. Yeah, you go to the bottom and use the cheat right here. All right, we got that. Broker's number's not there. All right, and your information, your license number's not there. Better know it or have some form to where you have the broker's license number and your license number, your information, the buyer's name as it appears on her ID. We'll talk about this.
Warren, I have a
Yeah,
quick question. So
sure.
I remember we was using your broker number. Now that you're still broker of records, we use yours as well, the same, or Tao's?
No, you'll be using TALs. The broker number did not change.
Okay. All
It's
right.
still the same.
Okay.
Yep, we're still the same brokerage. We just changed broker of record. So my license number changed, but that doesn't affect you. So the broker's license number is still the same. Your license number is still the same. Okay. The buyer's information, buyer's mailing address, and now we get into it. No, they don't have a contract. And now this is how I get paid, Darlene. This is how I get paid. So this is the part right here that most real estate agents sweat. Not me. Not me. I'm not afraid to ask for my money. I'm not afraid to tell you what you're going to get for my money. And this is where most agents are because they're used to a salary. They're used to working for somebody. They have never actually ran a company before. Probably might be the first time. So now that you're running your own business, asking for your money is something that you're going to have to develop, get used to it. So let's say I'm cutting lawns and I want $35 to cut the lawn, but I'm afraid to ask for 35. So I say 20 just to get the job. And I killed myself. It took me years to learn this lesson. All right. Now I'm not making any money. I got the job, but after I pay everybody, I pay the gas and everything, I don't make any money after cutting the lawn for $20. But I was afraid to ask for the $35. And this is what happened. Took me years later. My father always taught me this, but in any event, now I got 100 customers at $20. But I ain't making no damn money working my butt off. But now I raised the price to $35, and now I only got 25 of those 100 customers. Those 25 are very, very profitable. Now I'm doing 1/4 of the work, and I'm making twice as much money. See what happened there? So I would rather charge more and work for less than charge less and work for more. All right. So you need to understand this. Go cheap because you don't make any money, you're screwed. All right. So get used to asking for your money. We'll role play. We'll role play if you want. And then that's it. This form is done. This is done. After you did those two things, you negotiated your commission, we can go right to the very last part and say, great, Darlene, 3%, $1,000, no problem. I need you to sign and date it right here. And then you will fill in the broker's information, name, accepted by you, the real estate agent, and the date. This form is half a minute, just like the other form. Half a minute. Once you get your spiel down, once you get your routine down, all right? How I did the consumer notice, agency, what we're allowed to offer, what we're not allowed to offer, then the business relationship. This will allow me to take you out to see the property. This will protect you should you get hurt on the property. Here's my fee. And then after this, once this is done, you can go right to the last page. Because all this reiterates the consumer notice that we already talked about and the agreement of sale. All right. Buyer has received the consumer notice. Yes. Already got that. Buyer has read the entire contract before signing. All right. That's this contract here that they're signing. Buyer gives permission for the broker to send information about the transaction to the fax number, the email address that they gave us. All right. So they gave us their email, their phone, so we can send them a text. We can send them an email. This is giving us permission to communicate with them. All right. And that's what it says. All right. Buyer's given that permission. Return of this agreement and any addendum or amendments, including a return by electronic transmission, email. All right. Bearing the signatures of all parties constitutes acceptance by the party. So what they're saying is electronic signature, like a DocuSign or an email, them signing it by DocuSign or them signing it, printing it out by email, rescanning it and sending it back to you. It's all legal under e-sign. All right. This contract must be executed in one or more counterparts, each of which shall be deemed to be an original and which counterparts together shall constitute one of the same agreements of the parties. Isn't that freaking legal mumbo jumbo? All it's saying is everybody's got a copy of what they signed. Notice before signing, the buyer has legal questions, not real estate questions, legal questions. Then the buyer is advised to consult a real estate attorney. All right. So you can answer real estate questions, but what form of ownership should I take? Should I take ownership in severalty or should I do tenants by the entirety? This question you can't answer. That's a legal question. So we'll talk about that as you go along, what you can say and answer and what you can't say and answer. All right. You got to know the difference between a real estate question and a legal question. So what this is saying is if they have any legal questions, I'm not a lawyer, Darlene. I'm not allowed to practice law. So I'm a real estate professional. I'm licensed to practice real estate. I can help you with the real estate. But if you have any legal questions, Darlene, you should take legal questions to an attorney. All right. That's all this is saying. It's not saying you need a lawyer for the real estate transaction. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that if you have a legal question, you should refer that to an attorney, not me. All right. I need you to sign, date, and let's get started. Let me get started. All right. Once this form is signed, ladies and gentlemen, we got a client. We got a client, buyer client. All right. So now that's all we need for the buyer. Just those two forms. That's it. We don't need the BFI. We don't need anything else. Not at this stage of the game. Now what we're going to do is try to get them a pre-approved. Now listen to me. Listen to me. I'm going to make this my last thing. We don't have enough time to go into the seller forms today, but we're going to be doing it again next Monday and next Monday. We're back to a weekly schedule because I got brand new agents. You're welcome to come to the weekly schedule if you like. I think the weekly schedule is probably better anyway, but again, as I said, it's out of the kindness of my heart here because I'm not the broker record anymore, but I'm going to do it anyway. So for my new agents, we're on a weekly schedule. So I'll send everybody the invite. You can come if you like. All right. And we'll work with the seller. But here's what I need everybody to do. Listen to me. I now got Darlene as a buyer. Now the twos, the three twos. Okay. This is what we need to make sure we understand. Darlene. Here we go. Are you ready? Here's what I need from you, Darlene.
Yes, sir.
Can you get it to me today? I'm going to need two forms of identification. Snap a picture for me, Darlene, of your driver's license and your social security card. Can you do that for me today? Darlene?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Also, Darlene, I'm going to need your last two pay stubs. They want to make sure that you're working and you're currently on a job. Can you scan them and email me your current pay stubs? Last two pay
Yes, I
stubs?
can.
Could do
Yes,
that?
I can do that.
Excellent. I'm going to need 2 months bank statements. All right. Just the front page for right now. They're going to ask for the whole pages later, but for right now, 2 months bank statements.
Front pages. I
All
can do
right.
that as well.
And the last thing I'm going to need, Darlene, if you can get it for me today, I would really appreciate it, is I need your last 2 years tax returns. Because again, as I said, you got to be on the job for at least 2 years. If you've only been working for 6 months, we ain't going to get you a mortgage. You got to be on the job. And the way that they tell is by your last 2 years tax returns. Can you get me your last 2 years tax returns?
I can get them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, most buyers might not have them. Sounds like Darlene's got good management skills. See how I can hear this? But notice what I asked Darlene for. And I asked for her to do it today. And she said she could do it. Notice that this is very, very important. Because before I send Darlene to Mark, the lender, Darlene, do you have a pre-approval yet? Are you already pre-approved?
Oh, no, I'm still working on that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go and use Mark. You may use any lender you want. What I would suggest is let's get Mark's numbers and then shop. See if your credit union or somebody else can beat the numbers. Let's get Mark's numbers first. You don't have to work with Mark, but let's get his numbers and then you can shop. Fair enough?
That's fair. We can do that.
Okay. Yeah, it's not going to cost you anything. And, besides that, Mark works with the grant. So we're going to get you a grant and so forth. So, tax return. But now if Darlene didn't have her tax returns, I would tell her to go to H&R Block. Who did your taxes, Darlene? All right. They would have copies of your 2 years tax returns, whoever did your taxes. So sometimes your client doesn't have the tax returns available. Darlene's got good management skills. Notice that I'm hearing this by me asking these questions, the twos, her 2 forms of ID, her 2 pay stubs, her 2 bank statements, and her 2 years tax returns. The 2s. Once Darlene sends all that to me, then I send her to Mark. I will not send her to Mark until Darlene gives me a full package. Does everybody understand what I just said here, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
Because Darlene could be a tire kicker. Darlene could be wasting my time. And Mark got me a pre-approval, or Mark's trying to get these things from Darlene. And Mark says, well, I've asked Darlene for this, and I've asked Darlene for that, and she hasn't sent it to me. That should never have happened. Mark should not have been asking for this. I should have had a full package on Darlene, all my 2s, before I even sent Darlene to Mark. Now, I never laid this on you guys. Maybe that was my fault because I was trying to make life easy. And I was telling you, go to Mark. Send them right to Mark. And let Mark do all the work. But that's probably a mistake on my part. I should have told you to do it the way I do it. This is the way I do it. Why do you think I have settlement after settlement? Because I don't have a buyer until they send me a full package. Once I have a full package, Darlene, can you send all that to me today? And if Darlene doesn't send it to me today, guess what's going to be happening tomorrow? I'm going to be on the phone with Darlene. I said, Darlene, I was really expecting all that. Yeah, I didn't get it. Did you send it to the right email? Did you get it to me? Can you get it to me today? I'd like to get started for you, Darlene. So that's me. I have to stay on it. I get everything from my clients before I send them to Mark. I want you guys to start doing it now. I want you guys to do it right now, just like I did with Darlene. I asked her for the 2 form. You can't snap a picture and send me a picture of your driver's license and your social security card. You can't do that. Then do I really have a client? Because my client doesn't have management skills. My client can't even freaking snap a picture of their ID and send it to me. Don't you think I got to really be on this client? And I'm going to make them feel bad. I'm saying, I'm sorry, Darlene. Doesn't the camera work on your phone? I thought you said you could snap a picture and send it to me. I didn't get it. Can you do it for me today? This is what you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen. As I told you in the beginning, your client needs this nurturing. They need this mothering, fathering. They need you to be a tough. You got to be cruel to be kind. Because they don't have the management skills. The minute they hung up the phone, they went and sat on the sofa. They went and did something. They didn't have the management skills to do what they said. Darlene said she was going to send it to me. But guess what? 3 days later, I still don't have it. And if I just allow that, 3 weeks later, I still don't have it. And then most real estate agents will say, well, you never gave my lender what they needed. We just couldn't do anything for you. That's why they don't make any money in the business. I would have been on the phone kind of scolding Darlene, saying, Darlene, seriously? I thought you had better management skills. I expected more from you, Darlene. And I'll do the gender thing. Men don't do a good job at it, but women do a much better job at that shit, So kind of, put in a little plug there. All right. Yes, a gender is, I guess so. You're offended. What can I tell you? Be offended. But in any event, I'm still trying to use some psychological triggers to help Darlene help herself. And so this is what you got to do. So you make sure that you get your 2s, 2 forms of ID, 2 pay stubs, 2 bank statements, last 2 years tax returns. Now I find out that Darlene's only been on the job for 6 months. Why did I go through all this trouble of having a consumer notice and a business relationship agreement signed? Should I not have known about the 2s ahead of time? The part that you need to understand is this was a contract class, ladies and gentlemen. This class was to teach you how to do the contracts. So I only did 2, the consumer notice and the business relationship agreement, because that's his class. But wouldn't you have wanted to know from your client before we did this that they've been working for a couple of years? So when I said this to you, Darlene, can you send me copy of your social security card and driver's license. Darlene, can you send me your last 2 pay stubs? Darlene says, oh, I don't work. I get social security and disability and welfare. Fine. Now I know that. Can you send me your ward letters? Okay. So instead of asking for a pay stub, I'm asking for ward letters because we can't discriminate. Her income's her income. And so if it's public assistance, if it's food stamps, it's social security, if it's a retirement check, whatever it is, then instead of a pay stub, then we need the ward letters. Okay, fine, no problem. Now, if it's social security, disability, then we don't need we don't need the tax returns. All right, because taxes are already taken out, so probably didn't file the taxes on this. So, but we needed to know immediately in the beginning, before we actually did these forms, if our client was even able, ready, willing, and able to buy a property. So we needed to know that she's been on the job for 2 years, or we needed to know what form of income Darlene was getting. That had to be established in the conversation. One last thing. You got a realtor lead. You paid for leads. And now you got a realtor.com lead, a buyer. What do you think you're going to say when you call the buyer? Exactly the twos. The twos. I would say to the buyer, listen, I want to prep you for what the lender's going to ask you for. Let's see if you're ready for what the lender's going to ask you for. The lender's going to ask you for 2 copies of your identification. Can you do that? Yeah. The lender's going to ask you for your last 2 pay stubs. Can you do that? Yeah. They're going to ask you for 2 bank statements. Can you do that? Yeah. And they're going to ask you for your tax returns. Can you do that? Last 2 years tax returns. Yeah. Now you got yourself a buyer, a potential buyer, because you used the twos as the follow-up on your lead, as I told you in other meetings. So I always like to say, look, I know you're interested in 123 Main Street. It is currently on the market. They're asking $230 for this property. Or are you going to be buying this cash, or are you going to need financing? That's all I have to say on a lead. So I just paid for Realtor.com leads. I got a lead. They want to know more about 123 Main Street. I'll call. All right. That property is on the market. It's $230. How would you be buying this property? Would you be buying it cash, or do you need financing on this property? So this I established right off the bat. Oh, I'm an investor. I got hard money loans. I got money in the bank. I said, okay, very good. So you can send me proof of funds showing me that you're cash. Oh, yeah. See what I'm doing? I'm establishing already. How can I make the offer for you if I can't show proof of funds or pre-approval? So if you got proof of funds, you got cash, show me the money. You can show me bank statements? Yeah. Okay, good. We're golden there. But if they need a pre-approval, then we need to choose. Find out now. So what I do is I say, look, let me tell you what the lender's going to ask you for. This way here, you know what to expect when they call. And then I go down my list of twos. And then when they say, yeah, I could do that, I said, listen, you're ready to get started. Let's get started. All right, I'm ready. Any questions? Okay.
No.
It's 1 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. I can't keep you any longer than this. All right. So what we're going to do next Monday for my new students is we're going to go over the seller contracts. Today we did the buyer, and we only did the first 2 forms just to establish a relationship with the buyer. Next week, we're going to do the forms to establish a relationship with the seller. And then each week, we're going to go into the contract classes. And then after we're done our contract classes, we're going to get together. And I'm going to take you out to properties and see properties and show you what to say and what to do when we're at those properties. Fair enough?
Yes, sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you.
It's all part of a strategy. Put our strategy together. So that is it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm never going to take it past 1 o'clock if I can avoid it. And so I'll see everybody, or those who would like to come, next Monday. I will put together this video because it was a contract class. I'll download it and I'll send it to everybody with that little thing about, oh, we just watch the first 15 minutes. Because again, that's what I was trying to teach you in the very beginning of this class, how to do your manipulation, how to do your segue, how to represent yourself and your business in the charge. So no questions, no comments, ladies and gentlemen. Be safe, be healthy, be happy. You got my number. You may always call me. SQ, hold on, I'm sorry. What does it say in my chats? All right, look at this. All these chats, I never even seen the chats. I never opened up. No problem. Thank you. Okay, very good. Mr. Nelson, around 12:15, I have to. Okay, very good. Hello, everyone. Drop off. Okay, bye. Art. Okay, very good. Okay, very good. No, okay, very good. So you know my number. You have my number. You got my email. If you need to talk to me or call me or anything like that, give me a buzz. The only reason I won't be answering the phone is because I might be in class. So last week of class, these are my special classes, the math class and the business class that I do with my students. Well, that's this week for my students. They all graduated last week and they all got their transcripts, but I got these 2 special classes that I run for them, which will be Tuesday and Wednesday this week. After that, I don't have another class until October 1st. So call me if you need me. Be happy to answer any questions. I'm there for you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be afraid. Don't think that you're bothering me. You're not bothering me. Okay? You may call. No questions, no comments. Enjoy your day, ladies and gentlemen. Be safe, be healthy, be happy. God willing, I'll see everybody when I see you.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Bye-bye.
See you,
Thank
God
you.
willing.
Very,
Have a
very
great day,
welcome.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Everybody take care.
Everybody enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. You as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Nelson, I didn't know you were still in class. I haven't been getting no emails to attend the class, but for the classes this week, you can send me the emails.
I did, brother. You have
I
them.
haven't.
And I went over this at 7:57 this morning. I sent them. Are you telling me that you have another phone number and another email address?
No. I got the
Then you
emails.
have them.
I got the
Look
emails.
at 8 o'clock this morning. I sent you 2 emails.
For the meeting.
I'm telling you, brother. We went over this
No.
class.
I got the emails for the meeting. I want the ones for class.
What class? This one?
Yeah, your class. No, your class. Your school.
Okay. Okay. I'll send you for tomorrow and for Wednesday special classes. Tomorrow's gonna be a math class.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
then Wednesday will be the business class. You're welcome to come. You've been through them already. You already know what you're doing, but you're welcome to come if you want to.
And I always attend those two.
I'll send you the links.
I appreciate it.
You got it, brother.
Hey,
Have a good one.
Howard, very good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. I don't know how important this is. I just wanted to give you a heads up because I know you said for the next couple of Mondays we'll be meeting. Not next Monday, but the following Monday. I hope the connection bad because I will be out of town, but I still will make sure I try to join the class.
Okay. Now, one of our arrangements is the Monday classes that you have to be here. Now, you're giving me a heads up. 2 weeks from
Right.
now, you won't be there. So that's cool.
No, I can still be there because I know the phone. I could use the phone. I don't mind taking notes, but I don't know how my service will be.
Okay. I noticed you came in like almost an hour late today.
Yes,
Let's try to be on time.
will do.
All right, brother.
All right, sir.
You're very welcome.
Hi, Mr. Nelson. This is Sekou.
Sekou, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Yeah, Mr. Nelson, I'm sorry I've not been so active. A lot of things been going on in my life, but I'm trying to get my head screwed up now. So I'm trying to sign up for Bright. If
Go ahead.
yeah, so I'm trying to sign up for Bright now. So I just need a link and you know.
I'll send you the link.
Okay, do I need anything like your broken number or anything?
I'll send you in the link. I'll send you everything that you're going to need. I'll send it to you. I have an email already put together from my agents. I'll send it to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
Everything you need for it will be in that email. Just follow the email and you'll be fine.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Sekou, am I expecting to see you on Mondays? I don't get to see you. It's part of our arrangement. Supposed to be here on our Monday meetings. I know you're busy. I know you're working, but we'd like to be able to see you on our agreements on our Mondays. Can I expect to see you?
Yeah, I will try my best to be there from now on.
I appreciate you doing that. Make an effort to be here, even if you can't stay for the whole meeting. I appreciate you
Okay.
making an effort.
Yeah, I'll try my best. Like I said, family-wise, I've been going through a lot of things back and forth in Africa. Last time I told you, my mom was there. She's not feeling well, so it's been a lot of things going on. But
Well, you put a
I'm
lot
just,
into your business, and I wanted you to get the most out of it. So life is always going to be there, family's always going to be there. But again, as I said, we do have a contractual relationship and agreement. So I want you to understand that I understand life gets in the way, but I also understand that you got to make some kind of an effort to be here too,
I
even
understand. I
drop in and drop
understand.
out.
Yeah, I'll try my best now. From now on, like I said, I'm trying to get my head straight up in the game now. That's
I
so. On that note, I was going to ask you this question, but I know you were talking about the tools, the three tools right now.
Mhm.
So it was this client that I was talking to recently, I think the last week. She has everything but the W-2s. Well, she told me the person that did her tax, they're trying to get a hold of him. But is there any other way that we can retrieve the W-2s
Now,
besides going to?
you wouldn't be asking for the W-2s. The lender would be asking
No,
for the W-2.
no, not the W-2. I mean the 2 years tax return. That's what I'm
2 years
trying
tax
to say.
returns. So yeah, so that would be, their 2 years tax returns. It could be 1099, it could be Schedule C, it could be the W-2s is what they fill out when they work their job. So it'd be 10.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. So she doesn't have them. Who did her taxes for her?
yeah. So that's why we've been trying to get a hold. She said the person that did her tax, she's been trying to get a hold of him. She tried to call him several times. He's not picking up. And she even tried to go to where the tax was filed. She can't find him. So I was just trying to establish to see if there's any other way besides going to the person who files the tax to get us.
Was the person who filled out her taxes private, or did he work for a company like Jefferson?
I think it's private.
It's private?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. And see what happens when you don't have copies of your own. Here's what I would do. See if he emailed her
Okay.
returns, and then go through her email, her old email, put in that person's name in the search engine, and see
Okay.
any of the emails were there. So maybe she got lucky and she didn't take hard copies. She took hard copies, and what did she do with them? She got an email. Maybe you can go back into the email and find them. But this is what happens when you don't have the management skills and you're expecting somebody else to have them. Hopefully he emailed them to her. Hopefully she still got the same email address and she can go into her history, put in that person's email address or name, and see what pops up.
Okay. All right. We'll try that.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a good one, my friend.
All right. You too. Thanks.
Take care.